All right, all packed? Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran, laden with bags big and small, stood at their doorstep, looking back at the house they had lived in for quite a while. A sigh of emotion welled up inside them. Today, they were leaving for Dongju, and they wouldn't be coming back here. This place held so many of their memories. Leaving now felt a bit reluctant. All packed. Yin Mingran clutched Zhou Heng's hand tightly. Though she also felt reluctant, the most important thing was Zhou Hong. As long as she was by Zhou Heng's side, everything was fine. Then let's go. Is Tang Ji downstairs already? Yes, she arrived 20 minutes ago. If we make her wait too long, she'll nag us again. Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran walked out of the house together, closing the door that would never be opened again. Dragging a lot of luggage, they arrived downstairs. A car was parked there, with Tang Ji in the driver's seat and Yu Lingxue in the passenger seat. They're down. Yu Lingxue saw Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran and waved with a smile. Then, she and Tang Ji got out of the car to help them move the luggage into the trunk. The four of them had quite a bit of luggage. It barely fit anymore, and the trunk wouldn't close. Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran sat in the back, looked at Tang Ji in the front, and asked, "My uncle really gave you this car?" Tang Ji, while fastening her seatbelt, pursed her lips and said, "Yeah, so he has an excuse to get a new car. I can drive too. If you get tired, we can switch." Yu Lingxue, in the passenger seat, raised her hand and said, "It's okay. It's not far from here to Dongju. I can manage by myself, no problem." Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran, sitting in the back, exchanged a glance and an awkward smile, whispering, "Honey, should we also find time to get our driver's licenses? We still don't know how to drive." Tang Ji glanced at the rearview mirror and said, "Are you sure you'll even need to? In the future, you'll definitely have chauffeurs driving you everywhere. Why would you need to drive yourselves? It's not that serious, is it? You make it sound like we're big bosses already. It's not certain yet. Besides, my mom always drives herself when she comes to see us. Getting a driver's license is still quite necessary." Tang Ji snorted with a laugh. "Otherwise, you can just hire me as your driver. That would be a terrible waste of your talents. I have other brilliant uses for your brain," Zhou Hong muttered, looking out the window. Meanwhile, Yin Mingran was on her phone, showing it to Yu Lingxue in front. "Hey, look at this. Dongju's specialty foods. Let's go try them when we arrive. They look delicious." Okay. I've seen this too. I heard there's always a queue." The two of them were as excited as if they were going on a trip, completely different from Zhou Hong and Tang Ji. Those two were currently worrying about many things, as the pressure was immense. Zhou Hong felt his stress levels were about to explode. The family business he was to inherit was so overwhelmingly vast, and there was so much to learn. Tang Ji's pressure was just as great. Among them, she probably had the least background and connections. Perhaps her biggest backer was Zhou Hong. A genius with a good brain might be popular in school, but in society, just having a good brain wasn't enough. There was so much she had to think about and do. This was a single plank bridge with no turning back, no detours. She had to walk a steady, straight line to reach the other side. After Tang Ji drove for about half an hour, they officially entered Dongju City. The atmosphere in the car quieted down. "That building, is that Juanhong?" Zhou Hong pointed out the window. From the highway, a skyscraper could be seen in the distance, looking very imposing. To be precise, all the buildings in that area are Juanhong. It covers a very large area. Yu Lingxue gestured in a circle. She looked at the building, knowing very well her father worked there. She had only been there once, and that one visit had shaken her, making her realize just how capable her father was. Just then, Zhou Heng's phone rang. He picked it up and saw it was his father, Zhou Junyao. "Hello, Dad." The car instantly fell silent, with only Zhou Heng's voice audible. "Have you arrived?" "Yeah, just arrived. School starts tomorrow, right?" "What's up?" "Then find a place to stay for tonight. Tomorrow morning, I'll have someone wait for you at the entrance." "Oh, okay, got it." Hanging up, Zhou Hong was still a bit surprised. Who on earth would be waiting for them? Tang Ji first drove to Dongju University. Then, she had planned to find a hotel nearby, but it turned out that with school starting tomorrow, all the nearby hotels and guest houses were fully booked. There was nowhere to stay. Helpless, Tang Ji had to drive tens of kilometers away before they found a hotel with vacancies. They booked 2 rooms, put down their luggage, and then prepared to go out and have some fun. "Hey sis, we're in Dongju. Where are you? Want to hang out?" Yin Mingran also contacted Shun Lini. The thought of soon becoming Shun Lini's schoolmate felt quite wonderful. "Okay, I'll come find you." Shun Lini, after spending time with Yin Mingran, had become more and more cheerful. Yin Mingran was like a ray of sunshine that had appeared in her world, gradually erasing the shadows. She would never forget her, even if her presence was low-key. Even if she often didn't say a word, Min Gran had never given up on the idea of spending time with her. The four of them met up with Shunlini and prepared to go eat that specialty food. During this, Baitsong also called Yu Lingxue. "Hello, where are you guys? Have you arrived in Dongju?" Yu Lingxue would definitely not have bothered with Baitsong before, but now, after no longer competing with him, she had become much more tolerant. "Yes, we're eating. Want to come? Can I? Could you please ask Zhou Hong and the others?" "Thanks. No problem." Yu Lingxue told Zhou Hong about it. Of course, Zhou Hong had no objections and directly sent Baitsong the location for him to come over. After a few tens of minutes, Baitsong walked in from the entrance, smiling and greeting the others, until his gaze fixed on Shunlini. This person looked a bit familiar, wasn't she? The person Zhou Hong and the others were looking for when they went to Dongju University before? At that time, Yu Lingxue had said they were online friends. "Hello, beautiful. My name is Baitsong, a friend of Zhou Hong and the others. May I ask your esteemed name?" Baitsong proactively introduced himself, very politely. Shunlini was taken aback, fell silent for a moment, then slowly spoke in a low voice. My name is Shunlini. I'm Zhou Heng's older sister." "Huh." Baitsong's eyes widened instantly, his head turning mechanically towards Yu Lingxue. Yu Lingxue was still eating, not having reacted yet. Seeing Baitsong's malicious gaze, and then looking at Shunlini beside her, she suddenly understood. Yu Lingxue quickly turned her head away, not daring to look Baitsong in the eye, awkwardly biting her lip, eyes closed. "Care to explain to me what online friend means?" Baitsong's hand rested on the table as he leaned closer to Yu Lingxue, questioning her in a cold voice. I was lip-reading after all. I might have misread. Try it yourself. Wang Yo online friend, Jev's older sister. Don't they sound similar? Similar my ass. Baitsong was speechless. However, considering they were competitors back then, it was normal for her to use this trick to distract him. After eating together, the group walked around outside for a while, then went back to rest. After all, they had to get up early tomorrow to register at the school. It was best to rest early the night before. At night, Zhou Hong and Min Gran lay in bed, playing on their phones. Zhou Hong turned his head to look at Min Gran and said, "Honey, what do you think will happen tomorrow? I haven't told Dad about that matter yet. Can he arrange it for us?" Min Gran knew Zhou Hong was talking about them wanting to live together. This was also her biggest concern at the moment. If she couldn't live with Zhou Hong, her entire university life would be very bleak, not even half as good as high school. "I think he probably will. Since Dad said he's arranged it, he must have arranged everything properly. There shouldn't be any problems. I hope so." Sigh. Zhou Hong lay in bed, saying no more, only able to pin his hopes on his father. "All right, hubby, don't overthink it. Didn't we decide? If we can't live at school, we'll rent a place outside. It's okay. We won't be separated." Min Gran shifted, snuggling into Zhou Heng's arms, gently caressing his cheek. "Okay, lights out then." Okay. Waking up, the next day arrived. It was the day for new students to enter the campus, and Dongju University was incredibly lively. Zhou Hong and Min Gran also got up early. After getting ready, Tang Ji drove them to Dongju University. "We might not be able to drive to the entrance. It's definitely going to be super crowded there today," Tang Ji said on the way. Zhou Heng asked, puzzled, "Why? You're acting like you already know." Tang Ji glanced at Zhou Hong in the rearview mirror and said, "Dongju University is really bustling this year. It's one thing for you two big shots to enroll, but there's also a celebrity." "Celebrity? See for yourself." Tang Ji reached out and tossed her phone to the back. Zhou Heng looked at Tang Ji's phone and found it was displaying a forum, seemingly Dongju University's forum. "I searched Dongju University's forum yesterday and took a look. The top trending topic is this: Jingyu's enrollment." "Jingyu? Who's that?" Zhou Heng was a bit puzzled. He clicked into the forum post and saw various glamour shots of a beautiful woman. Min Gran leaned over, took a look, and was also stunned by the photos. Yu Lingxue looked at Tang Ji and said, "Jingyu, is she that print model? She's always been quite popular. Is she the same age as us?" "Yes, she also got into Dongju University this year. So, the school entrance is definitely going to be super crowded right now, with a bunch of people waiting there for Jingyu to appear." Zhou Hong returned the phone, shook his head, and said, "Then just park the car a bit further away, and we'll walk over." Tang Ji drove the car to a spot about 500 meters from the school, found a parking space, and then everyone got out, preparing to walk to the school. They left their luggage in the car for now, to be retrieved after their accommodation was arranged. "I see it, so many people. Zhou Hong glanced ahead and indeed saw a dense crowd packed in there at the school's main entrance. Tang Ji pursed her lips and muttered, "Should we go join the crowd and see if this Jingyu is really that beautiful?" "No need. Anyway, she's definitely not as beautiful as my wife." Zhou Hong shook his head, holding Yimingran's hand, and said with a smile, My husband is the most handsome too." Yimingran hugged Zhou Heng's arm, smiling sweetly. Yu Lingxue pointed ahead and said with a laugh, "Hey, look, there are people holding signs. How interesting." Zhou Hong snorted a laugh. "Hilarious. If I were this Jingyu, I'd die of embarrassment. It's just enrolling in school, and it's like a fan meeting." As the group got closer, they realized something seemed off. Those students were all staring at the person holding the sign. That person didn't look like a student, more like a teacher. Strange. That sign. It doesn't seem to say Jingyu. Yu Lingxue squinted, looking at the sign. The characters on it didn't seem to be Jingyu. Tang Ji had the best eyesight among them. She squinted at the sign, couldn't help but be stunned, her mouth agape, looking completely bewildered. On it says, Zhou Hong. At that moment, in the center of the crowd, a man in his 30s was holding a sign high up, with the two characters Zhou Hong written on it. The other students were gathered around, whispering among themselves, very confused. Who is Zhou Hong? No idea. What's going on? This person, if I remember correctly, isn't he the chief mentor of that building? Really? From that building? And a chief mentor? What's he doing holding a sign here? Regardless of the students' loud or soft discussions, the man remained unmoved, continuously holding the sign high, looking around with a determined gaze, as if searching for someone. The students were also watching, wanting to see who this Zhou Hong was. Zhou Hong, not far away, suddenly stopped, halting the others. His face darkened, and he said in a low voice, "Don't move. Let's not go over yet." "What the hell? Is this an intentional attempt to embarrass me?" Zhou Hong was dumbfounded. He had thought the person holding the sign was some super fan of that Jingyu. How come it was his name on the sign? Without a doubt, that person must have been arranged by his father. But why do it this way? He didn't want to go over now and admit he was Zhou Hong in front of so many students. Just then, a car drove over, and the students instantly erupted. "Jingyu is here. Damn. Finally going to see her in person. I want a photo with her. Just one. I want an autograph." The school security guards initially wanted to disperse the students, but it seemed to have little effect. They couldn't withstand the students' enthusiasm at all. In the end, they could only maintain order. It really looked like a fan scene at an airport. The students had already pushed the atmosphere to a climax, but the man holding the sign remained completely unmoved, as if he completely ignored the situation, still acting like a watchtower, looking left and right, searching for Zhou Heng's figure. He didn't know Zhou Hong, and with too many students at the entrance, he had no other way but this. Inside the car sat a girl. She looked to be around 20 years old, with fair skin, clear and bright eyes, a high-bridged nose, and cherry-like lips. She looked very beautiful, especially now with her slightly furrowed brows and worried expression, which added a touch of charm. Her figure was tall and slender, wearing a long black dress that accentuated her slim waist and long legs. "Too many people. I told you we should have parked further away. What if an accident happens?" Jingyu looked at the surrounding students, feeling a bit worried. The driver in front said awkwardly in a low voice, "But we can't let Ms. Jing walk over." "What's wrong with walking a few steps?" All right, don't drive any further, stop here." Jingyu looked out the window. Just then, her gaze was drawn to someone. Zhou Hong. She looked at the man holding the sign, saw the sign, and couldn't help but be stunned, muttering in confusion. And that man didn't look like a student. He looked somewhat familiar. "Uncle Tian, do you know that man? He looks a bit familiar." The driver looked over, saw the man, and his eyes widened. "Isn't this Professor Han? He's very famous at Dongju University, one of the chief graduate supervisors." "Oh, I remember now. What's such a famous person doing here? Who is Zhou Hong?" Jingyu blinked her large eyes, looking astonished. Logically, it was hard enough to even meet someone of this caliber. How come he was standing at the school gate now, holding a sign? Was this some kind of game forfeit? Jingyu's car stopped. Then, Jingyu got out, preparing to walk the rest of the way. Seeing Jingyu appear, the students couldn't hold back anymore, rushing forward. The security guards could only do their best to hold them back. Zhou Hong saw that everyone's attention was drawn to Jingyu and felt it was a good opportunity. "All right, let's go. Now's our chance." Zhou Hong beckoned the other three, and they quickly walked over to the man's side. The man turned his head, saw Zhou Hong approaching him, looked him up and down a few times, then stared at Zhou Heng's face, slightly blank. You are Zhou. Zhou Hong strode forward and covered the man's mouth, preventing him from shouting. I, I am Zhou Hong. Don't shout. Let's go inside quietly and talk. Zhou Hong pointed towards the inside of the school and said in a low voice. The man couldn't speak but nodded, finally putting down the sign. His arm was sore from holding it up. The group followed the man into the school, trying to avoid being noticed by others. However, the person in question, Jingyu, saw this scene. After getting out of the car, she had been glancing in the man's direction from time to time. When she looked up again, after a moment of inattention, she saw the man walking in with another tall boy and 3 girls. Is that person Zhou Hong? Jingyu muttered to herself, even though she had no idea who Zhou Hong was or why he could make that famous man wait for him at the gate with a sign. After Zhou Hong and the man walked a few dozen meters, he looked back and finally felt relieved. Great, on the first day of school, his name was already famous. Ahem, hello student Zhou Hong. This girl holding your hand should be student Yi Minggran, right? The man pushed his glasses, looking at Zhou Hong and Yi Minggran beside him, and asked. Yes, she is. May I ask who you are? Ah, hello. Let me introduce myself. My name is Han Wenqi. You can call me Teacher Han. Next, the 2 of you will be personally taught by me. Tang Ji and Yu Lingshu knew that Zhou Hong and Yi Minggran had been taken care of. Unlike them, they had someone to guide them on the path ahead. Tang Ji said to Zhou Hong and the others, Yu Lingshu and I will go register first. We'll contact you by phone later, okay? Okay. You guys go ahead then. Yi Minggran nodded and waved them goodbye. Tang Ji and Yu Lingshu temporarily separated from Zhou Hong and Yi Minggran, who continued to follow Han Wenqi. Zhou Hong tentatively asked, I'd like to ask, Teacher Han, you were arranged by my father, right? Yes, President Zhou has already informed me. Everything is arranged. You can rest assured and leave it to me. Are you very familiar with my father? Let's put it this way. Without President Zhou's help, I wouldn't be where I am today. That's an exaggeration. No, not at all. Han Wenqi raised his hand and pointed to a large building in the distance. Compared to other teaching buildings, that building looked exceptionally grand. That building is the top teaching and experimental facility in Dongju University. It's called the Juanhong Building. Could it be that? Yes, that building is Juanhong. Oh no, to be precise, it was built by President Zhou in his personal capacity, a place specifically for cultivating talent. Most of the students who graduate from there go on to work at Juanhong. I'm also one of the chief mentors there. Zhou Heng's mouth twitched, and he muttered, ah. He even donated a building here. No wonder. I thought he was just friends with the principal. Of course they are friends. At the same time, President Zhou is also the honorary president of Dongju University. Teacher Han, I have another question. Regarding accommodation. How is that arranged? Zhou Hong said, tightening his grip on Yi Minggran's hand. His attitude was firm. He definitely didn't want to be separated from Yi Minggran. Even if their studies were demanding, the time they went back to sleep at night would become the most anticipated and relaxing part of their day. Oh, that. Don't worry, it's already been arranged. President Zhou said you two would definitely want to live together. A room has already been reserved for you in that building. Hearing this, Zhou Hong and Yi Minggran finally felt relieved, a happy smile appearing on their faces. It seemed their dad still understood them, arranging things so thoroughly. The two followed Han Wenqi to the front of that building. More and more students appeared, and those entering and exiting would greet Han Wenqi upon seeing him. Hello, Professor Han. Upon entering the building, the atmosphere immediately quieted down. Everyone spoke in hushed tones, like in a quiet library. Some students or mentors, seeing Han Wenqi leading Zhou Hong and Yi Minggran, would cast curious glances, wondering about their identities. Han Wenqi took the 2 of them up the elevator to the top floor of the building. The top floor was quite large, with a long corridor and several rooms. Look, that room at the very end is for you. It's already been tidied up. Han Wenqi pointed to a door at the far end, walked over, pushed it open, and let Zhou Hong and Yi Minggran enter. The room was quite spacious, somewhat like a hotel layout. Although there was no living room, everything else one could need was there, and the furniture was very complete. Honestly, this already satisfied Zhou Hong and Yi Minggran greatly, even far exceeding their expectations. Mainly, they didn't have high requirements for their living environment. As long as it had what was necessary and was clean, it didn't need to be overly large or fancy. Then, my office is at the end of that corner. You can find me there if you need anything. Yi Minggran bowed slightly and said, Oh, okay. Thank you, Teacher Han. Then I'll go get the luggage later. Zhou Hong looked around the room, feeling quite satisfied. Since it was decided, he could bring the luggage over and start unpacking. Wait a minute. Teacher Han, what about our classes? How will they be conducted? We still don't know our major, nor do we have a class schedule or anything. Han Wenqi nodded and replied, You two are quite special and cannot attend classes with others. You have too much to learn. I have already arranged for various teachers to give you private lessons. I'll make a schedule and send it to you later. Add me as a friend first. So that's how it is. Zhou Hong and Min Gran exchanged a glance, a wry smile on their faces. It was the first time they'd heard of having private lessons in university. This kind of treatment wasn't something ordinary people could get, unless their father donated a building. After adding him as a friend, Han Wenqi was about to leave when he suddenly remembered something, turned his head, and asked, By the way, there's one more thing. Military training starts tomorrow. Do you still want to participate? If not, we could directly proceed to the study phase. Damn, no need to be in such a hurry, right? The thought of starting high-intensity studies tomorrow made Zhou Hong prefer military training. He couldn't go through university without making any friends, could he? If you want to participate, that's fine too. I can arrange for you to join a class, perhaps. The same class as your two friends. Would that be okay? Zhou Hong nodded repeatedly. Of course. Then I'll have to trouble Teacher Han. No trouble. I'll inform everyone. You can withdraw from military training at any time if you get too tired. Don't overexert yourselves. It's fine. We're both in pretty good shape. We won't get that tired. Zhou Hong put his arm around Mingran's shoulder and said with a smile. Anyway, for him, directly entering high-intensity study was worse than military training. Mingran didn't mind either way. She just listened to Zhou Hong's decisions and didn't need to think about anything else. Okay, I'll go make the arrangements then. If you don't understand anything, just ask me on your phone. Han Wenqi nodded and left. Zhou Hong couldn't help but marvel at the professor's efficiency. He was truly effective and handled matters in an orderly fashion. No wonder his father had arranged for him to take care of them. At noon, Tang Ji contacted Zhou Hong, wanted to have lunch with him. Zhou Hong and Mingran had just finished unpacking and went to find Tang Ji and the others. The group decided to eat at the school cafeteria to see what it was like. How are you guys doing? After finding a seat, Zhou Hong asked Tang Ji and Ling Xue, who were sitting opposite him. Tang Ji nodded and said, Pretty much settled. We're in the same class and the same dorm. Anyway, what we need to learn is mostly the same. We two will also be assigned to the same class as you, just not attending classes together. Mingran said with a wry smile, shrugging her shoulders. Ling Xue raised an eyebrow and said, Hey, and that Jingyu, she's also in our class. When they saw her name, those guys were about to go crazy with excitement. So, are you going to report to the class this afternoon? Zhou Hong and Mingran exchanged a glance and said sure. Since they were assigned to that class, they definitely had to go report, even if they wouldn't be attending classes together in the future. What about Baitsong? Didn't anyone call him? Zhou Hong still thought of this person. He was a friend, though their bond wasn't that deep. It seemed a bit off not to call him for a meal. Ling Xue waved her hand and said, It's fine, don't worry about him. He's probably busy making friends right now. Making friends? What's the rush? Zhou Hong and Mingran didn't understand what this meant, but Tang Ji did. This was university, after all, with so many good-looking male students. Baitsong was probably busy looking for targets to befriend. You're not. Tang Ji, you're Zhou Hong. What are you doing here? Just then, the group heard an exclamation. They looked up in confusion and saw the boys standing beside them, pointing at Zhou Hong and Tang Ji with a shocked expression. Zhou Hong frowned, finding the boy somewhat familiar, but couldn't quite remember. Tang Ji, however, seemed to remember who he was. Her face fell, and her mouth slightly agape. It's me, Su Pingyi. Don't you remember me? The boy patted his chest and said anxiously. Zhou Hong turned to Tang Ji, casting a pleading look. Tang Ji pursed her lips and said helplessly, At the Huxu game competition, he lost to me. The runner-up. Oh, it's him. TSK. Tang Ji really hadn't expected to run into this person here. After the competition, he had wanted to become her apprentice, make friends, and so on. He felt particularly clingy. She had left without looking back, thinking she'd never see him again. How was he here too? Compared to Tang Ji's exasperation, Su Pingyi looked extremely excited, saying animatedly, You're also new students this year? What a coincidence. Me too. Zhou Hong scratched his head awkwardly. He was somewhat surprised that this person still remembered their names and could recognize them at a glance among so many people. He himself had long forgotten. Coincidence. I think it's just average. Tang Ji muttered under her breath, head down. She wanted to appear as inconspicuous as possible, hoping he wouldn't notice her. She was afraid this person would become clingy like last time. It was a case of speak of the devil. Just as Tang Ji had this thought, Su Pingyi took out his phone and held it out to them. Such fate. First acquaintances, now more familiar. Can I add you as a friend this time? We're schoolmates now. Do me a favor. Okay. Zhou Hong didn't think much of it. He was a guy, so adding him was fine. He took out his phone and added Su Pingyi as a friend without a second thought. After adding him, Su Pingyi turned and offered his phone to Tang Ji. Tang Ji sighed. Since Zhou Hong had added him, she felt embarrassed to refuse. She repeatedly told herself internally, stay calm. Socializing is a necessary part of learning. To be competent in important work in the future, social skills are indispensable. Tang Ji also took out her phone and added Su Pingyi as a friend. Yes, Su Pingyi let out a low cheer, causing the 4 people present to be slightly taken aback. Then I won't disturb you any longer. Anyway, now that we're friends, you can find me if you want to play games or anything. I'll get going, bye. Su Pingyi, looking satisfied, waved goodbye and left. The 4 of them remained silent, watching Su Pingyi leave with expressions of bewilderment. Tang Ji, does this guy like you? Yimin Gran looked at Tang Ji and asked blankly, because Su Pingyi's behavior just now was completely like someone who liked Tang Ji, not even trying to hide it. Tang Ji, upon hearing this, shook her head vigorously. I don't know, I don't want to know, and it has nothing to do with me anyway. Zhou Hong chuckled, impressive. It's been a while since someone liked Tang Ji. Guess how long he'll last? I guess a month. A year. 3 days, maybe. Yimin Gran and Yu Lingxue chimed in with their guesses. Yu Lingxue thought that with Tang Ji's personality, it would be good if the guy could last 3 days. You guys, that's enough. As the 4 were eating, they heard students at the next table talking. Why isn't Jingyu eating in the cafeteria? I finished eating long ago and waited here for half an hour, but I didn't see her. What are you thinking? How could she possibly come to the cafeteria to eat? Exactly. If she really came, she wouldn't be able to eat. She'd be annoyed to death by a crowd of her. Listening to their discussion, Zhou Hong was also thinking about these things. In his heart, Zhou Hong was actually quite grateful to Jingyu for attracting attention. Otherwise, with Han Wenqi's stunt, his name would have been known to everyone. Hey, why was Professor Han holding a sign at the gate this morning? Who exactly is Zhou Hong? No idea. After Jingyu arrived, Professor Han disappeared when I turned my head. Don't understand what's going on. Damn. Zhou Hong heard the topic at the next table shift, and it actually shifted to him. This was truly eating melon and having it be about himself. The other 3 girls lowered their heads even more, seemingly trying to suppress their laughter. Look, that table. 1 guy, 3 girls. Also beautiful. Yeah, it's the first day of school. How come he gets to be with 3 great beauties? He must be rich. After a while, Zhou Hong and his group started being discussed. The main reason was that the attractiveness level at this table was simply too high. Putting Zhou Hong aside for a moment, the 3 girls had attracted the attention of numerous boys since entering the cafeteria. The 3 girls could be said to have their own styles, but without exception, their looks and figures were particularly perfect. If it were just these 3 girls, it would be fine, but alas, a boy was sitting with them. This made the vast majority of male compatriots very uncomfortable. There were all groups of guys at their tables, without a single girl. Why could one boy sit with 3 top-tier beauties? What did he have that they didn't? Wasn't it just that his features were a bit more handsome? Double eyelids, high nose bridge, looked a bit stronger, broad shoulders, narrow waist, and his clothes looked like he was well off? All designer brands? What else did he have? What on earth gave him the right? This made most of the boys, who felt they weren't lacking in any way, very puzzled and extremely jealous. All right, let's go as soon as we finish eating. Zhou Hong stood up and gestured for the others to leave, because he felt the gazes on him were increasing, and these gazes seemed to carry hostility. The other 3 had also finished eating, stood up together, and followed Zhou Hong out of the cafeteria. It was almost afternoon. Zhou Hong and the others checked the time. A short walk now, and they would arrive at the classroom around the time for afternoon registration. The 4 of them arrived at the classroom together and found the atmosphere a bit strange. Most people were whispering about something, and they were all looking in the same direction. Zhou Hong and his group looked in that direction and quickly understood the reason. A girl was sitting by the window, quietly reading a book. The gentle, warm light shone through the window onto her, as if draping her in a layer of holy light. That girl was Jingyu. Her classmates were very excited, never expecting to be in the same class as Jingyu. This was something they could brag about forever. Though they were happy, they didn't dare to go up and talk to her because they knew their own standing and the huge gap in status between them and her. So their whispers were very soft, as if they didn't even dare to breathe loudly, afraid of disturbing Jingyu. Just then, Jingyu looked up toward the front and happened to see Zhou Hong and the others who had just walked in, even making eye contact with Zhou Hang for a moment. Jingyu was taken aback, but didn't look for long, just glanced, and then lowered her head, continuing to read her book. "Let's sit here." Zhou Hong and his group found seats in the front row. He sat with Yi Minggran, and Tang Ji sat with Yuling Xue. Students arrived one after another and found seats, but no one dared to sit in the circle of seats around Jingyu. Whether they had the courage or not was one thing. Just sitting down would surely get them killed by countless stares. So, many wanted to sit there, but none dared. After a while, a teacher walked in from outside the classroom, and the room immediately fell silent. The teacher looked to be in his 40s or 50s, a middle-aged man, slightly balding, wearing glasses. He first pushed his glasses, scanned the room, looked down at the watch on his hand, and muttered, "Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong, who here is called Zhou Hong. Professor Han only told me the name, not what he looks like." He seemed a bit nervous, his eyes sweeping over every student, but he had no clue. Before coming, he had been informed by Han Wenqi that there were 2 extraordinary students in the class. At first, he thought students were just students. What could be so extraordinary? Even if his class had a popular young model like Jingyu, he treated everyone equally. In his class, they were ordinary students. But when Han Wenqi informed him of the identities of these 2, he no longer had this idea. In principle, he should treat everyone equally, but now they were the principal. In the face of such powerful capital, Jingyu's status indeed seemed insufficient. Hello everyone. I am your class teacher. My surname is Lin. You can call me Teacher Lin. Let's all do a self-introduction first, shall we? Get to know each other. Hearing this, Zhou Heng's eyes widened, and his mouth twitched. Self-introduction? Was he supposed to say his name out loud? His own name, which had just been imprinted on the minds of numerous students that very morning. He had to say it out loud now. Couldn't this step just be skipped? To be honest, Teacher Lin was actually quite apprehensive. He felt that Zhou Heng's background was a bit too significant. Normally, someone like that should be studying abroad, with those rich young masters and ladies. How'd he end up in his class? If Zhou Hong revealed his entire identity during his introduction, the whole class would probably explode. But not allowing self-introductions now wouldn't work either. He didn't know which one was Zhou Hong. He couldn't just ask directly, right? That would be too obvious. Come, let's start with this student. Students began to introduce themselves in turn. Some were well-behaved, stating their name, interests, and hobbies. Others were more active, running to the front, jumping and bouncing. Such people were not in the majority. When it was Jingyu's turn, the classroom instantly fell silent. All eyes focused on her. Jingyu slowly stood up and, in a clear voice, said, "Hello everyone. My name is Jingyu. I like reading, taking photos, and exercising. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I hope we can get along well. Thank you." A very concise and standard self-introduction. After speaking, Jingyu sat down, and the classroom erupted in warm applause. Besides looking forward to Jingyu's introduction, the boys were also anticipating a few others, namely, the 3 girls sitting next to Zhou Hong. With their eagle eyes, they had quickly identified the most beautiful girls in the class. Jingyu, the model, was out of their league. They didn't even dare to think about it. But there were 3 other stunning beauties over there. Hello everyone. My name is Yuling Xue. I don't have any particular interests. Yuling Xue stood up and began her self-introduction. Her demeanor was completely different from when she transferred to Zhou Heng's class in high school. In high school, she was lively and playful. Now, that state seemed to have completely disappeared. My name is Tang Ji. My hobby is playing games. Thank you. When it was Tang Ji's turn, it was even more concise, as if she wanted to muddle through. She stood up, spoke for less than 2 seconds, and sat down. Hey, she looks a bit familiar to me. Now that you mention it, I think she looks a bit familiar too. I think I should have a video of her on my phone. When Tang Ji stood up, she attracted the attention of many boys. Some even found Tang Ji a bit familiar. Some time ago, they seemed to have watched some online game competition video that was very popular, and the protagonist in it seemed to be her. Next, it was Zhou Hong and Yi Mingran's turn at the front. Yi Mingran glanced at Zhou Hong, saw him with his head down, looking embarrassed, and couldn't help but smile. She stood up first. Hello everyone. My name is Yi Mingran, and my hobby is this guy. Yi Mingran directly reached out and patted Zhou Hong on the shoulder, startling him. Oh, in an instant, the classroom was in an uproar. Almost everyone's mouth formed an O shape, extremely surprised. It was the first time they had seen such a public display of affection. So blatant, a sudden mouthful of dog food shoved into their mouths. The boys couldn't help but exclaim how lucky this guy was to find such a beautiful girlfriend whose eyes were full of him and who boldly announced it in front of everyone was truly enviable. I'm also very willing to make friends with all of you. I've already remembered all your names. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you, everyone. In Gran, as if she had just pulled off a prank, chuckled and sat down. But this sentence shocked the students in the class even more. What? Remembered everyone's names? So amazing. Others might not believe this statement, but Tang Ji and the others firmly believed it. In Gran really would do such a thing. All right, next one. Teacher Lin seemed unfazed, calmly pointing at Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong looked up at him, pursed his lips, and slowly stood up. For a moment, the classroom fell silent again. As the boyfriend of the beautiful girl who had just spoken, the boys were very curious to know what was so special about him that he could find such a good girlfriend. Even Jing Yu was staring intently at Zhou Heng's back, a hint of anticipation in her eyes. My name is Zhou Hong, Zhou Hong said in a low voice. As soon as these words were out, the silence in the class was instantly broken, and whispers began. Zhou Hong? The one from this morning? Damn, he's actually in our class. Teacher Lin's eyes lit up even more, a slight smile playing on his lips. Finally found him. Sigh. Zhou Hong knew this would happen after he said his name. He sighed and sat down. All right, quiet. Teacher Lin immediately rapped the lectern twice, silencing the classroom. It could be said that the purpose of his self-introduction exercise had been achieved. It was to find out who Zhou Hong was. The girl sitting next to him must be the other one. Afterward, the entire class finished their introductions. Teacher Lin was also quite helpless because, due to Zhou Hong and the other's sudden transfer into the class, he hadn't received the attendance register or anything yet. Otherwise, he would have just called out names himself. Ahem, all right then. Later, you'll be given your military training supplies. Military training officially starts tomorrow. Once everyone had received their military training supplies, they could leave, go back to their dorms to pack, and do whatever they wanted. There wasn't much to do in the afternoon. Zhou Hong and the other three left the classroom together, planning to take their things back and then decide where to go together. Where should we go later? I don't know. How about we ask Shenlini? She's been here for over a year. Maybe she knows where to have fun. Shenlini? Forget it. Do you think she'd know where to have fun? That's true. Then we'll see you later. The four temporarily separated. Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue went back to their dormitory. Their dorm room was quite good. Although it was a four-person room, currently only the two of them were there. The other two beds were empty. We'll probably see Zhou Hong and In Mingran much less from now on. Their study tasks are too heavy. Tang Ji said softly as she packed her things. Yu Lingxue nodded. Yeah, we have to try our best to keep up. If we fall too far behind, it'll be none of our business. She didn't dare to slack off at all because her determination was firm and everything else could be ignored. Knock, knock. Just then, there was a sudden knock on the dormitory door. The two of them were taken aback and looked towards the door. Tang Ji called out, "Please come in." Click. The door opened slowly, and a head peeked in cautiously. Seeing this person, Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue were somewhat surprised. Wasn't this Jingyu? What was she doing here? Hello. The dorm supervisor said only this room has empty beds. May I stay here? Jingyu opened the door and walked in, carrying her things and a suitcase. Yu Lingxue looked at Tang Ji beside her. Tang Ji didn't seem to mind at all, nodded, and said, sure. Okay, thank you. Jingyu took her things to an empty bed and started to unpack. Quite polite. Tang Ji muttered under her breath. She hadn't expected Jingyu to stay in the dorm. She had thought someone like her would definitely be arrogant and domineering. After all, at such a young age, she was already shooting commercials and modeling. At the same age, others were already stars, recognized wherever they went. Honestly, with such achievements at this age, it was normal to be a bit arrogant. But someone like her, still polite and low-key, was indeed rare. Hey, you two, I brought cake. It's for you, as a meeting gift. Jingyu took out two exquisite small cakes and gave them to Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue respectively. The two looked at the cakes in their hands and said, thanks. You're welcome. We're roommates now. Let's get along well. Jingyu smiled slightly and continued to pack her things, saying, You're Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue, right? I've remembered your names. I'm quite easy to get along with. I hope we can become good friends. Okay. The two responded calmly. This reaction made the smile on Jingyu's lips widen even more, as if she was very satisfied with this kind of response. This reaction, which didn't treat her specially, but just as an ordinary person, made her very happy. After half an hour, the three of them had finally organized their belongings. Tang Ji also sent a message to Yin Mingran. A little while later, the dormitory door suddenly opened. "Hello, I'm here." Yin Mingran's head peeked in, smiling and greeting, but the first thing she saw was Jingyu standing there, staring at her with a blank expression. Yin Mingran couldn't help but be stunned, thinking she had gone to the wrong dorm. But Tang Ji had definitely sent her here. "You're here. Is Zhou Hong waiting downstairs?" Only then did Yin Mingran hear Tang Ji's voice and realize she hadn't gone to the wrong place. However, she was still a bit surprised to see Jingyu here too. He went to the boys' dorm to look around, probably to find Bai Song. "I just came here to hang out." Yin Mingran walked in and sat on the chair under the empty bunk. She looked around, nodded, and said, "The dorm is pretty good, much better than I imagined." Just as she lowered her head, a piece of cake was handed to her. She was taken aback, looked up, and saw it was Jingyu offering it. "For you. I've given them to the others." Yin Mingran was slightly stunned, then slowly raised her hand, took the cake, and said, "Thank you." "You're welcome. Why don't you live here? Isn't there still an empty bed?" Jingyu pointed to the empty bunk above Yin Mingran and asked. Yin Mingran waved her hands repeatedly. "Oh no, I don't live in the dorm. She lives with her boyfriend." "Oh no, it should be said fiancé." Jingyu turned her head in shock to look at Tang Ji, who said this, then turned back to look at Yin Mingran, her eyes filled with disbelief. Looking at Yin Mingran, a faint blush had already appeared on her cheeks, yet a smile played on her lips. "So he's already your fiancé? That's amazing." "Not really. Actually, I guess so, since I'm going to marry him sooner or later." "Wow." Jingyu seemed to be amazed by such affection, letting out an exclamation, her eyes wide, blinking a few times. "But you two are indeed a good match. His name is Zhou Hong. At this moment, Zhou Hong was in the corridor of the boys' dormitory, looking for Bai Song's room. Zhou Hong stood still, looking at Bai Song ahead, who seemed to be half squatting at the door of a certain dorm room, as if peeking inside. Zhou Hong walked over and kicked him on the butt. "What are you doing?" Bai Song was startled, turned his head sharply, and saw Zhou Hong in front of him. His heart almost jumped out. Zhou Hong, what are you doing here?" "I'm just looking around." "What are you peeking at? Is there anything good to see inside?" Zhou Hong didn't quite understand. It was a boys' dormitory. What was there to peek at? So, out of curiosity, he also glanced into that dorm room. Turns out, the boys were changing clothes. What was there to peek at? It wasn't like girls were changing. "No, nothing. There was an argument inside, just now. I thought I'd come see what the commotion was about." Bai Song scratched his head awkwardly, randomly making up an excuse, though it had absolutely nothing to do with that. "Where's your dorm room?" "I'll go take a look." Okay." Bai Song immediately walked out, leading Zhou Hong to his dorm room. He pushed open the door of a dorm room and walked in. "This is my dorm. It's all right? Oh, by the way, let me introduce a friend. Zhou Hong." Zhou Hong and Bai Song looked over at the same time. Zhou Hong saw the person who called him and looked surprised. "No way. You're in this dorm too? What a coincidence." Zhou Hong felt this was too coincidental. Meeting him in the cafeteria at noon was one thing, but to run into him in the dorm as well, and he was even roommates with Bai Song. Su Pingyi nodded repeatedly, walked over, and said excitedly, "Yeah, you know Bai Song? What a coincidence. We just met and really hit it off." After Su Pingyi came over, he put his arm around Bai Song's shoulder. Bai Song raised an eyelid, smiled, and similarly put his arm around Su Pingyi's shoulder, asking, "Yeah, but how did you two meet?" Then, Su Pingyi explained how he and Zhou Hong, as well as Tang Ji, had met. Hearing this, Bai Song was also somewhat surprised, thinking this was too much of a coincidence. To meet again like this, it was truly fate. "How about I treat you guys to a drink later? I heard there's a really popular bar nearby. Lots of students go there." Su Pingyi looked at Zhou Hong, blinked, looking expectant. Zhou Hong wasn't stupid. He could tell this guy just wanted him to bring Tang Ji along. I'll ask the others later." Zhou Hong didn't agree directly. Who knew if Tang Ji would go? Okay. Just then, Su Pingyi received a call and went out to answer it. Bai Song looked at Su Pingyi's back outside, nodded, and said, "This guy is really nice." Zhou Hong snorted a laugh and said, "Yeah, he plays games well, his studies are probably good too, and he's quite handsome, a decent person. He's indeed qualified to pursue Tang Ji, but Tang Ji might not agree." "Yeah, Miss Tang might not." Bai Song's eyes suddenly widened, his face filled with horror, a reaction of extreme shock. What? You mean he likes Tang Ji? No way. You don't like Tang Ji too, do you?" "No, it's not." Bai Song shook his head. The one he liked wasn't Tang Jin. Then why such a big reaction? All right, hurry up and pack. Once you're done, we'll go out and have fun together. In the girls' dormitory, Imangran had just called Shunlini, asking her to come play. After Shunlini arrived, she glanced at Jingyu. The look and expression Jingyu saw in Shunlini's eyes, she would never forget for the rest of her life. It was the first time someone had looked at her like that. It was a bit special. Are you all friends? You're all so beautiful. Jingyu sat there, wanted to join their conversation, and said. As a result, the four girls looked directly at her without saying a word, just looking, making her feel a bit awkward. What's wrong? Tang Ji waved her hand. Nothing, it just feels a bit sarcastic coming from you, since you're so beautiful yourself. No. There's no sarcastic meaning. I'm speaking from the heart. I just feel you all look really good. She just wanted to join in the conversation. It was rare to meet a group of girls who didn't treat her as special. Before, even if she wanted to make friends, she couldn't because others only wanted autographs or photos. Now, seeing these four girls, not only were they beautiful, but they also didn't treat her like some celebrity. This made her really want to befriend them. But not only did these people not treat her as special, they didn't seem to care about her at all. In the dorm, it was as if they couldn't see her, completely ignoring her. Even that sophomore-senior sister would occasionally glare at her. Hello, hubby. Just then, Min Gran answered a call from Juan Hong, immediately smiling and calling out sweetly. I see. Okay, I'll ask them. Then we'll go down together. Okay. After Min Gran hung up, she looked at the others and said, My hubby said there's a popular bar nearby. Students often go there to hang out. He wants to know if you guys want to go. Sure, let's go have some fun there. Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue agreed without hesitation. Since Zhou Hong and Min Gran were going, they had no reason to refuse. Min Gran looked at Tang Ji, hesitated for a few seconds, then said, besides my hubby, there's Bai Tsong and also that Su Pingyi. So he specifically asked me to ask you if you want to go. Huh? Why is that guy there too? Tang Ji frowned upon hearing Su Pingyi's name, looking impatient. She didn't understand why Zhou Hong went to the boys' dorm and came back with this nuisance. So are you still going? Of course I'm going. You're all going, why wouldn't I? Shinlini, on the other hand, shook Imungran's arm and whispered, Ran, I won't go, okay? I really don't want to go to that kind of place. It's okay, I understand. Then we'll call you when we go out for dinner together. After deciding, just as the group was about to leave, they realized there was still one person in the dorm. Was it not good to leave Jingyu alone in the dorm? Do you want to come hang out with us? Min Gran tentatively invited, although she didn't really think Jingyu would go. But after Jingyu heard it, her eyes and expression seemed to show she really wanted to go, full of anticipation. However, it was only for a moment. That sense of anticipation dissipated. She gently shook her head and said softly, No, you guys go have fun. Though she really wanted to go, she also knew that going to such a place would require wearing a mask, and so on. If she was accidentally photographed, she would be criticized. Anyway, she felt that as long as Min Gran and the others were willing to invite her, it was enough. Whether she win or not didn't matter. The main thing was that she felt their kindness. All right then, how about dinner together tonight? Min Gran didn't insist. She also knew Jingyu had her own difficulties, so she decided to invite Jingyu for dinner, just like Shinlini. That could work. But can I really go? Of course, if you'd grace us with your presence. Min Gran shrugged, saying casually. If it were the old her, she probably wouldn't even dare to speak to Jingyu, unconsciously putting herself in a lower position. But after experiencing so many things, and after so much time had passed, today's Min Gran was no longer the person she used to be. Especially since Lu Wei often told her not to feel inferior, not to think she was worse than others, that she wasn't lacking in any way, and was even better than others. Otherwise, Lu Wei wouldn't have chosen her. After all, Lu Wei was such a big boss. Her judgment of people wouldn't be so casual. If Lu Wei thought she was capable, then she was. This filled Min Gran with confidence, so much so that she wouldn't cower, even when facing someone like Jingyu. Behind Min Gran, Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue gave a wry smile, thinking that whoever didn't grace them with their presence would regret it later. They could only dine with Min Gran during their university days. After graduation, they wouldn't even have the chance. I'd love to. Let me treat. Jingyu readily agreed. Before enrolling, she had originally thought it would be very difficult to make friends. She hadn't expected it to be much simpler than she imagined. Oh no, how can we let you treat? There are quite a few of us. Min Gran waved her hand, declining her offer. After all, by her count, there would be quite a lot of people for dinner. No matter what, it should be her and Zhou Hong treating. If they let Jingyu treat, they wouldn't have invited her for dinner. After Min Gran and the others left, Jingyu finally sat down to rest properly. She had already figured out that Min Gran was their core. Min Gran was always in the C position. The others only moved when Min Gran got up, and it was mostly Min Gran who spoke. When she spoke, no one interrupted. Those who knew would think they were friends. Those who didn't would think it was a superior-subordinate relationship. This Min Gran was too much like their leader. So her boyfriend, Juan Hong, what exactly is his relationship with Professor Han? To actually have him personally come to the gate with a sign to pick him up. Jingyu muttered to herself, arms crossed, thinking hard, but she couldn't figure it out. She could sense that these people's identities were probably not ordinary, but she couldn't ask directly. Curiosity welled up in her heart. At this moment, Juan Hong, Bai Tsang, and Su Pingyi were already downstairs at the girls' dormitory, waiting for the girls. Hey, brothers, how do I look now? Is my hair messy? Su Pingyi looked very nervous, asking Juan Hong and Bai Tsang to check his current image. After all, he was about to see Tang Ji, so he definitely couldn't be sloppy. Juan Hong shrugged and replied, "It's all right. You don't need to pay special attention to your image or anything. She doesn't look at that aspect when she looks at people. Don't ask me, no comment." Bai Tsang waved his hand even more, turned his head away, his tone even colder. This surprised Su Pingyi a bit, but he didn't say much. Then what aspect does she look at? Su Pingyi no longer denied liking Tang Ji. Anyway, he was so obvious, they had already seen it. Juan Hong was Tang Ji's older brother, so to speak. Since he didn't object, he felt even more confident. Her? That I really don't know. Probably no one knows. Previous boyfriends? What are you thinking? She's never been in a relationship. Oh, Su Pingyi's eyes instantly lit up, completely brightening. As if he had discovered a new continent, he was extremely excited. Never been in a relationship? A blank slate? Is there still such a perfect person? If he really managed to win her over, wouldn't he be her first love? Oh ho ho, Su Pingyi chuckled to himself, unable to contain his excitement. Zhou Heng's mouth twitched, and he took a step back, whispering to Bai Tsang, "Why do I feel a bit uneasy letting him pursue Tang Ji? It's fine, don't worry. Who is Miss Tang? He won't be able to win her over." Bai Tsang stood with his hands on his hips, waved his hand, not worried about the outcome at all, as if this result was already fated. "Hubby." Just then, Juan Hong heard that most familiar voice. He turned his head and saw Min Gran already running towards him. "Hey," Juan Hong responded. Min Gran directly jumped onto Juan Hong, her arms around his neck, and Juan Hong immediately picked her up. Su Pingyi's eyes widened. It was the first time he had seen such a situation. He hadn't paid attention in the cafeteria before, but now he noticed how beautiful Zhou Heng's girlfriend was. What was the difference between her and a celebrity? Su Pingyi snapped back to reality, meaning Tang Ji had also appeared, right? He felt a bit nervous. After taking a deep breath, he turned around, preparing to greet her. "Tang Ji, you." Before he could finish his sentence, Tang Ji walked straight past him, as if she hadn't seen him at all, making him instantly swallow the words he was about to say, feeling extremely awkward. Yiling Xue behind them couldn't help but laugh when she saw this scene. She had been curious to see what would happen when Tang Ji met this person, and the outcome was indeed a bit amusing. By the way, don't people usually go to bars at night? Is it open at this time? Juan Hong glanced at the time. It was only a little past 5 in the afternoon. Su Pingyi, hearing a topic that could alleviate the awkwardness, quickly spoke up. "It's open. Not many people go at this time. It's not chaotic. At night, it's crowded and mixed, quite chaotic. Anyway, we're going to sit for a while. It's fine." "All right, then let's go check it out." The group left the school together and went to a nearby bar. Just the facade's decoration was very unique, enough to attract young people. It was still early, so the neon sign wasn't lit. Walking inside, it was very quiet, with elegant music playing. Although it was rather dark, the colorful light strips created a special atmosphere. The group sat around a booth, and a waiter brought over a tablet for them to order. "What are you all drinking?" Su Pingyi looked at the others, focusing particularly on Tang Ji, and asked. Tang Ji ignored him, turning to talk to Yiling Xue. It was Juan Hong who spoke up. "Whatever, one drink each to try should be enough, right? We still have to go eat later." "Ah, then I'll order for you." Su Pingyi ordered a drink for everyone, all low-alcohol cocktails. One drink wouldn't do much. Anyway, they were just here to sit, chat, and soak in the atmosphere. After ordering, Su Pingyi felt his presence was a bit low. Everyone else was chatting, and he seemed to have no one to talk to. If he directly tried to chat with Tang Ji, she probably wouldn't acknowledge him. He needed to find a way to make her acknowledge him. Su Pingyi looked at Juan Hong. At this moment, he felt talking to Juan Hong was the best option. "Hey, Juan Hong, I haven't asked you yet. What's your major? I? Zhou Hong was taken aback, momentarily speechless, his throat feeling like it was stuck with a bone, unable to answer. What was his major? He didn't know. What kind of major did this count as? Su Pingyi, seeing Zhou Hong not answering, blinked, looking puzzled, unsure what was happening. Just then, Baitsong beside him spoke up, saying faintly, "Yo, major, ever heard of it?" Su Pingyi looked at Baitsong, his mouth twitching, frowning at him, wondering what kind of joke he was making at this time. CEO major? What did that mean? Graduate and directly become a CEO? Who would believe that? Just then, their drinks arrived, one for each person, looking just like soft drinks. However, for Zhou Hong, they indeed were soft drinks, not even qualifying as alcohol. Shall we play dice? Want to play? Su Pingyi picked up the dice cup on the table, wanting to play with the others. After all, only by doing this could he participate and find an opportunity to talk to Tang Ji. The group looked at each other, but no one responded. It wasn't that they didn't want to, but they really didn't know how to play. They had heard of it but never played, so if they were asked to play now, they couldn't. Su Pingyi felt a bit awkward. He saw Tang Ji didn't seem very interested either, and he didn't know what to do. Now he was stuck here, unable to find anyone to play with. Just then, a voice came from the side. "I'll play with you. I know how." Su Pingyi looked at Baitsong beside him, his brows furrowed, wondering if he was acting a bit off today. He already knew he liked Tang Ji. As a good friend, shouldn't he be helping him? Shouldn't he be trying to persuade Tang Ji to play? Come on, are you playing or not? Baitsong took the dice cup, looking at him in surprise. At this point, Su Pingyi had no other choice but to play with Baitsong, otherwise, he'd be even more embarrassed. Maybe if he played for a while, Tang Ji would get interested. Cool me. Soon, Su Pingyi and Baitsong started the game. After about 10 minutes, Su Pingyi felt something was off. Firstly, Tang Ji hadn't even glanced at him once. Whenever he looked over, he found Tang, either chatting with others or looking down at her phone. Secondly, he didn't seem to have won much at all. This Baitsong said he knew how to play, but he didn't say he was this good. Out of 10 games, he'd be lucky to win one. It was as if his every move was seen through, completely controlled. He was already on his second drink, having finished the first, while Baitsong had drunk less than half of his. Still playing? Baitsong shook the dice cup, looking at him with a smile. That smile seemed to carry a hint of mockery, of disdain, instantly infuriating Su Pingyi. Play. Why not play? Su Pingyi was already worked up. He had to win. He had to get Baitsong drunk, to save face. He couldn't be so pathetic in front of Tang Ji. Another 10 minutes passed, and Su Pingyi had already finished his second drink. The two drinks were different, and he had drunk them so quickly. Even if they were low in alcohol, it made him, someone who didn't drink much, blush. His head was even a bit dizzy. He hadn't expected to get himself tipsy just half an hour after coming in. I can't anymore, I need a break. We'll talk later. Su Pingyi couldn't care, less about face now. If he kept drinking, he'd lose even more face. He leaned back on the sofa, head tilted up, mouth slightly open, as if trying to let the alcohol evaporate. TCH, I thought you were so good, clamoring to play this and that. Such a lightweight. Baitsong snorted disdainfully, glancing at him. Just then, Tang Ji suddenly picked up the dice cup, looked at Baitsong, tilted her chin, and said, "You seem pretty good. Want to try?" Okay. Baitsong instantly did a lightning-fast face change. The disdainful look from before completely vanished, and he started playing with Tang Ji. Su Pingyi didn't know how long he had rested, but he suddenly heard the sound of dice shaking by his ear. He looked up, opened his eyes, and looked ahead. When his blurry vision gradually cleared, he blinked and saw Tang Ji and Baitsong playing. Can't do it. Can't beat you, Miss Tang. I admit defeat. Baitsong finished his last sip, directly cupped his fists, and conceded. Su Pingyi tilted his head, spaced out for a long time, his brain seemingly not processing. What was happening? Tang Ji and Baitsong were playing? Tang Ji knew how to play, and she was better than Baitsong? He had actually planned to play with Tang Ji earlier and make her drink? Tang Ji shrugged, took the lollipop out of her mouth, threw it in her glass, then downed the drink in her glass in one gulp, muttering, "Boring." Su Pingyi's eyes widened in disbelief. He hadn't expected Tang Ji to be such a capable drinker. What did this mean? Was he any different from a fool? I'm going to the restroom. In Gran stood up, preparing to go to the restroom. Zhou Hong didn't think much of it and made way for In Gran to go out. After In Gran came out of the restroom, she went to the sink to wash her hands. Just then, a boy came out of the men's room, tying his pants cord while looking intently at In Gran's face in the mirror. After a moment, the wicked smile on the boy's face slowly disappeared, replaced by a frown. In Gran, you again. Hmm. Min Gran heard someone call her name and turned around in surprise, seeing the boy standing behind her. Pan Sure. Wasn't this that distant relative of hers, her father's son with his ex-wife? She had run into him last time she came to Dongju University, and unexpectedly, she'd met him again today. He was like a lingering ghost. Whoa, you're here again, huh? What are you doing here? Looking for Shunlini. Pan Sure slowly approached, his demeanor the same as when he'd last encountered Min Gran. However, Min Gran was a bit different this time. She didn't retreat, tilted her head slightly, looked at Pan Sure, and replied faintly, "No, I got into Dongju University. I'm studying here." "Oh, is that so? That's pretty good, eh? Then we can see each other often. What about that boyfriend of yours? Dumped him?" A malicious smile tugged at the corner of Pan Sure's lips as he reached out, bracing himself against the mirror behind Min Gran, a clear act of harassment. But Min Gran didn't react, merely frowning and pushing Pan Sure away forcefully. "Stay away from me." Min Gran's cold voice and her demeanor made Pan Sure stumble back a few steps, stunned. The last time he saw Min Gran was probably almost half a year ago. Back then, Min Gran was just like he remembered her, especially easy to bully, someone who would cry for a long time if teased a little. But now, it was as if she had become a different person. This state, this aura, was completely different from the Min Gran in his memory. How could she be so calm and possess such a strong aura now? Pan Sure didn't show too much surprise. He didn't want his momentum to be overshadowed by Min Gran's. So he sneered and straightened up. "All right, you've grown up, your wings have hardened. Let's see if you're really that tough." Pat, pat. Just then, two hands suddenly clapped onto Pan Sure's shoulders, startling him. He froze on the spot, not daring to move. He slowly turned his head to look at the two people standing behind him and instantly broke out in a cold sweat. You guys, what about us? Have we met?" Yuling Xue had a very kind smile on her face, but her hand gripping Pan Sure's shoulder was exerting slight pressure. Bai Tsong beside her was even more sinisterly smiling, his voice low. "All alone today, huh? Still want to play last time's game?" "Psychos. Damn it," Pan Sure shouted, then immediately shook off their hands and fled from the restroom without looking back. Min Gran blinked, somewhat puzzled, and asked, "What's wrong? Why is he so afraid of you? Do you know him?" Bai Tsong waved his hand and said, "Don't know him. Didn't he say it himself? He's a psycho. Don't mind him." When the three of them returned, they found Su Pengyi already lying on the sofa. Across from them, Tang Ji and Juan Hong stood with their arms crossed, shaking their heads helplessly. It was the first time they had seen such a stubborn boy. Even Kong Yu, one of the high school phantom gods back then, wasn't this pig-headed. Achoo! Far away, Kong Yu sneezed, wiped his nose, and mumbled with a puzzled look, "Caught a cold." A boy in front shouted, "Hurry up, we're going to be late." Kong Yu shrugged and said faintly, "So what if we're late? We're in a junior college. You still afraid of being late?" Bai Tsong approached Su Pengyi, looking at him sleeping soundly on the sofa, his brow furrowed. "I'll help him back first, okay?" Bai Tsong helped Su Pengyi up, ready to take him back. Juan Hong asked, "Then you're not going to dinner?" "I won't go. You guys go ahead. I'll head back first." Bai Tsong smiled and declined. Only Yuling Xue and Tang Ji watched Bai Tsong and Su Pengyi, pouting and shaking their heads. They thought Su Pengyi was probably in for it, taken back by Bai Tsong while drunk and dazed. Or perhaps Bai Tsong didn't intend to go back to the dorm at all. Where he was going was uncertain. After seeing off Bai Tsong and Su Pengyi, the others also left the bar, preparing to go for dinner. Min Gran contacted Shunlini, asking her to have dinner together, then suddenly realized she didn't seem to have Jingyu's contact information. Min Gran said to Shunlini on the phone, "Sister, could you please go to Tang Ji's dorm and ask that Jingyu to come down for dinner? We don't have her contact info." Okay, all right. Shunlini agreed quietly, but honestly this felt like an exam for her. Instantly, numerous possible scenarios flashed through her mind, rehearsed countless times. After hanging up, she left her dorm, preparing to go downstairs to find Jingyu. Soon, she was standing at the dorm room door, taking deep breaths and repeatedly thinking about what to say. "Knock, knock." Shunlini knocked on the door. She heard footsteps from inside, and then the door slowly opened. Jingyu's head poked out. The moment she saw Shunlini, she swore it was the first time in her life she had seen such a cold face. That face seemed to have a built-in repulsion aura, capable of pushing away anyone who approached. "Oh!" Jingyu was startled and immediately took a step back. The door opened further, revealing Shunlini standing there. Her posture and figure were excellent. If her head were covered, she would be a perfect senior. You. Do you need something? May I ask? Jingyu slowly began, asking in a low voice. Shenlini's soft voice drifted out. Ran. Asked you to go. For dinner. What? Oh. I get it, okay. Jingyu didn't quite hear or react at first. Only after a moment did she realize what Shenlini had said. She was a little surprised, not expecting Inmin Gran to remember to invite her for dinner. She had thought it was just a polite gesture. Jingyu put on a hat and a mask, her standard going-out attire. She had just enrolled, and the students weren't used to her yet, so there would still be some commotion. After a while, once the students got used to her presence, she wouldn't need to be so cautious. The two of them left the dorm together, attracting a lot of attention. People were used to Shenlini's cold face. An accidental glare from her would scare them half to death. Now, a girl so thoroughly covered up had appeared beside Shenlini, truly a strange sight in the girls' dormitory. Excuse me, what's your name? Shenlini. Shenlini replied in a low voice. She knew who the person beside her was, but only vaguely. To her, celebrities and ordinary people were no different. She didn't plan to pay attention to them anyway. The only people she could accept now were those few. Inmin Gran and Juan Hong were definitely in the first tier, followed by Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue. Although her first impression of Yu Lingxue wasn't good, the misunderstanding was later cleared up, and they had hung out many times, so there were no barriers left. They were considered friends. As for people like Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao, she could only say she knew them. They had traveled together, but hadn't spoken much and weren't very familiar. Besides these people, she had nothing to say to anyone else, not even her roommates of a year. Now, when she returned to her dorm each day, no one would say a word to her. They just treated her as if she were invisible. Okay, I'll remember. You're a senior, right? Can we be friends? Jingyu looked at Shenlini, wanting to befriend her too. Just now, when everyone was in the dorm, only Shenlini hadn't spoken to her. In fact, one look from her was enough to make Jingyu feel a little scared. After hearing Jingyu's words, Shenlini seemed to have a switch flipped. Her body trembled slightly for an instant. Then, she slowly turned her head to look at Jingyu, her gaze incredibly sharp, making Jingyu swallow nervously. What's wrong? Is it not okay? Let's get to know each other better first, then we'll see. Shenlini replied faintly and turned her head away, no longer looking at her. Jingyu really hadn't expected Shenlini to be so aloof. Even if she wasn't a celebrity or anything, just an ordinary student, becoming friends with her shouldn't be a big deal, right? But now, not only was she rejected, but the rejection was so cold and decisive. Before enrolling, Jingyu had worried about not being good at socializing. Now it seemed her worries were justified, but it was completely different from what she had expected. Her idea of not good at socializing was that others would treat her as a celebrity and not as an ordinary student. Now, these girls she had met didn't seem to care about her status at all. This Shenlini was on another level, her words and demeanor seemingly carrying a hint of disgust and vigilance towards her. Okay, all right, it's fine, no rush. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future anyway. The two of them walked out of the girls' dormitory, preparing to go off campus to find Inmin Gran and the others. They didn't exchange any more words along the way, just focused on walking ahead. All right, I'll be there right away. Stop rushing me. Just then, as they reached a corner, a boy's voice came from very close by. The next second, a tall boy darted out, looking like he was in a hurry, still holding his phone. Watch out! Jingyu wanted to warn, but it was too late. The boy bumped right into Shenlini. Instantly, Shenlini's body stumbled backward. The boy's eyes widened. He reacted quickly, swiftly reaching out and grabbing Shenlini's wrist, pulling her back just in time to prevent her from falling. Classmate, I'm sorry, are you okay? The boy apologized in a low voice, but the next second, when he saw clearly who was in front of him, he was so scared he immediately pulled his hand back. Shenlini. The boy sucked in a sharp breath. After pulling his hand back, he immediately raised it and retreated a few steps, looking very frightened. Shenlini hadn't yet recovered from the shock of being bumped. She looked at the boy in front of her somewhat blankly. Her habitually cold eyes and expression, like a passive skill, briefly disappeared at this moment, replaced by a dazed look. Seeing Shenlini like this, the boy was suddenly stunned, and his raised hand slowly lowered. He knew Shenlini. They were classmates. Shenlini was, after all, the department beauty, very famous. Everyone knew her. However, Shenlini probably didn't know him, even though they were classmates. But he had always seen her as extremely cold, with a gaze that could kill. It was the first time he had seen Shenlini like this. Strangely cute. Are you okay? Really, classmate, can't you be a little more careful? What she got hurt from the fall? Jingyu immediately checked Shunlini. Fortunately, nothing was wrong, so she turned to scold the boy. Yes, I'm really sorry. My friend needed me for something urgent, and I was in too much of a hurry. The boy scratched his head and quickly bowed in apology. All right, if there's nothing wrong, let's go. Jingyu looked at Shunlini and asked. Shunlini nodded and responded with an She didn't pursue the boy's mistake. It wasn't intentional. The two of them walked past the boy and left. The boy watched Shunlini's retreating figure and let out a big sigh of relief. The moment he realized it was Shunlini, he thought he was going to be killed. At the very least, he would definitely receive the most terrifying, murderous glare. But he hadn't expected Shunlini to have such a side, dazed and cute, as if she'd been stunned by the collision. He was actually fortunate enough to see it. Sigh almost caused a disaster. The boy sighed, preparing to continue walking. Just then, he noticed something on the ground. His raised foot paused in midair. The boy looked down. It seemed to be a small bookmark, a cute little bear. This should be Shunlini's. After all, Shunlini loved reading, something all her classmates knew very well. It must have fallen out during the collision. The boy immediately picked it up and turned around, wanting to return it to Shunlini. But when he looked, Shunlini was already out of sight. I'll give it to her tomorrow then. The boy put the bookmark in his pocket and left, planning to return it to Shunlini during class the next day. Shunlini and Jingyu left the school and soon found Juan Hong and Mingran's group. Ran. Seeing Mingran, Shunlini immediately ran over with open arms and gave Mingran a warm hug. This scene stunned Jingyu, where had that aloof demeanor from earlier gone. The contrast was too great. Juan Hong saw the thoroughly covered Jingyu behind them, paused for a moment, pointed at her, and asked, This is... She is... Just as Mingran was about to introduce her, Jingyu took off her own mask and hat, nodded slightly at Juan Hong with a small smile. Hello, I'm Jingyu. I was invited to have dinner together. You don't mind, do you? Jingyu said quietly, trying to gauge Juan Hong's attitude. With so many beautiful women around Juan Hong, even without knowing his background, it was clear he wasn't an ordinary person. So, it went without saying, Juan Hong must be the one calling the shots among them. Juan Hong paused, looked at Mingran beside him, who nodded at him. Juan Hong hadn't expected Mingran and the others to get involved with this Jingyu. My wife invited you, of course I don't mind. Let's go together. Surprised as he was, Juan Hong didn't refuse. After all, it was Mingran's decision, so he naturally wouldn't say anything. They found a restaurant for dinner. Juan Hong, with 5 beautiful women, made others in the restaurant quite envious, and many even started speculating about their relationships. They went to a private room, which was quieter. If they were in the main hall, they would be stared at and discussed. After sitting down, the girls started chatting, but Jingyu still found it a bit hard to join in. After all, the other 4 were already very familiar with each other, while she had only just met them. It would be a bit strange to force herself into their conversation. But sitting there alone was also a bit awkward. Juan Hong was also sitting there playing on his phone. Jingyu thought, if worse came to worst, she could chat with Juan Hong, but how to start a conversation? If the topic wasn't good, it would be even more awkward. After hesitating for a while, Jingyu slowly spoke. Juan Hong, what does your family do? Jingyu's question made Juan Hong look up, stunned. Even the 4 girls stopped chatting and looked at Jingyu in surprise. Jingyu was suddenly taken aback, looking at them somewhat puzzled, and stammered, what's wrong? She had thought it was a pretty good topic. From her observation, she guessed Juan Hong's family must have some background. Normally, if she just asked casually, he should answer, right? Why did it seem now as if she had asked a particularly presumptuous question? Surely not. My family, they're the little business. Juan Hong nodded and replied softly. Jingyu hadn't expected Juan Hong to be so modest and low-key. Shouldn't he normally tell her straightforwardly what his family did? Could it be? Jingyu thought of a terrifying possibility. Could Juan Hong's family business be something shady? Was it an illegal business? Unlikely, right? Then was it a business that skirted the law? Mingran then realized that they had somewhat neglected Jingyu. After all, they had invited her to dinner, so they should at least pay some attention to her. Jingyu, your work must be quite busy, right? Do you have time for school? Mingran asked. Hearing someone speak to her, Jingyu turned her head and replied, Well, I've turned down most of my work. I only attend very important ones. I still want to attend school normally. Tang Ji also joined in, saying, You've worked hard too. I remember you debuted at 14, right? You played a role in a very popular TV drama back then. It's okay. A little hardship is nothing. Jingyu recalled her past, thinking it had indeed gone by quickly, so fast that she felt like she had experienced everything, yet nothing at all. She had experienced what her peers hadn't, but hadn't gotten what her peers would. Things like starting school in an unfamiliar place today, making new friends, and eating out with so many people now were all first-time experiences for her, yet they were commonplace for others. Yu Lingxue, resting her cheek on her hand, looked at her and said, "You seem like a nice person, not arrogant at all." "Of course. I'm just an ordinary person. There are many people more capable than me. How could I dare to be arrogant?" Jing Yu's words seemed to gain everyone's approval, as the others nodded one after another. "Then you can hang out with us more in the future. Anyway, you and Tang Ji and the others are roommates. Get along well then. They're all very good people." Yin Mingran pointed to Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue beside her. "Yes, I know. You're all very good people. I'm very happy to be friends with you." Soon after the food arrived, they had dinner together, chatting a lot during the process. Jing Yu gradually became able to participate, chiming in with a few words from time to time. Yin Mingran also took good care of her, chatting with her. The content of their conversation was also very appropriate. Yin Mingran handled what should and shouldn't be discussed very well. Jing Yu also gradually opened up, telling them a lot about her past, allowing Juan Hong and the others to learn that Jing Yu's past wasn't actually that happy. Having such a big reputation at such a young age wasn't necessarily a good thing. After dinner, everyone went back together. Tang Ji and the others returned to their dormitory, while Juan Hong and Yin Mingran went back to their place. It was already past 8 in the evening. They returned to Juanheng building. The security guard at the entrance saw Juan Hong and immediately opened the gate. All the staff in their building had already learned about Zhou Heng's existence. Professor Han's original words to them were, "When he comes here, it's like he's coming home. No one is to stop him. No one is to ask." Back in their room upstairs, Juan Hong and Yin Mingran sat on the sofa resting, looking up at the ceiling, silent for a long time, as if recalling the events of the day. From today onwards, they had also officially become university students. After a while, Yin Mingran looked at Juan Hong beside her and said, "Go take a shower. You first or me first?" Juan Hong directly slapped the sofa, stood up, and said, "Together." Yin Mingran paused for a moment, instantly understood what he meant, pursed her lips, and said softly, "Ah, honey, don't we have military training tomorrow? It'll be so tiring." "So what? It's our first day living here. Don't we need to consecrate the new bed? Let's go." Without another word, Juan Hong directly picked up Yin Mingran and turned toward the bathroom. Yin Mingran wrapped her arms around Zhou Heng's neck, her ears flushed red, and mumbled softly, "I wonder if the soundproofing here is good. Hello, everyone. I am your drill instructor. My surname is Gao. Student, you're too tall. Go to the back. TSK." Juan Hong clicked his tongue, reluctantly moving away from Yin Mingran to the back of the line. They were all wearing military training camouflage uniforms. Others' uniforms were particularly loose, but only Zhou Heng's was tight-fitting when he put it on. Yin Mingran, Tang Ji, and the other girls all stood at the front of the line, while only Juan Hong was moved to the back. "Jing Yu is doing military training with us. Oh my god, she won't get tan later, will she? My Jing Yu. How could that be? She must have applied sunscreen properly. She'll be fine." "Quiet," the instructor shouted, stopping the students whispering. At this moment, at the edge of the training ground, a man stood there, arms crossed, a worried expression on his face, jiggling his leg while smoking. Professor Han, what are you doing here?" Another teacher walked over, asking in surprise after seeing the man. I'm just looking around, nothing." Han Wenqi took a drag from his cigarette, extinguished it on the trash can, and pointed ahead. "You have this kind of leisure time? I thought you were busy with a lot of research every day, too busy to be seen. This is research, much more important than other research. If this isn't researched well, my job will be gone." Han Wenqi took out a handkerchief and wiped the sweat from his forehead. The sun was beating down here, and he had been standing there for a while, his forehead already covered in sweat. The teacher followed Han Wenqi's gaze, not knowing what he was looking at. Weren't they just students doing military training? What was there to see? "Hey, Qin Kuan, what are you spacing out for? Playing games or not?" Damn, you scared me." The boy called Qin Kuan, who was startled, had been sitting there looking at the blackboard, lost in thought. His friend almost scared his soul out of his body. "What are you thinking about?" "Thinking about women." Bullshit. How could that be? Who could I be thinking about?" "That's true. You're so handsome, you wouldn't lack women. If I had your face, I'd play with 8 women a day." "Get lost. With that kind of thinking, you'll never find a girlfriend." Qin Kuan slapped the guy on the head and cursed him. As a result, when he raised his hand, something fell out of his pocket. Oh, you dropped something? What's this? The boy immediately bent down to pick it up. After picking it up, he found it was a small bare bookmark. Is this yours? Give it back to me. Chin Kuin instantly swiped his hand and snatched the bookmark, holding it in his palm. No, what are you doing? Am I going to steal it from you? I'm just looking. Why did you buy this kind of bookmark? Are you a sissy? Go, 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 this isn't mine. Eh. At this moment, a girl leaned over, looked at the bookmark in Chin Kuin's hand, and said doubtfully, Isn't this Shinlini's? I used to see it often. Hiss. Chin Kuin instantly sucked in a sharp breath, his eyes widening as he looked at the girl, his expression as if to say, So what if you know? Why say it out loud? Damn. What's going on? Bro? Did she give it to you? Did you ask her for it? Did you steal it? The boy was slightly stunned after hearing this. Then, as if he had gone mad, he directly grabbed Chin Kuin's collar, his face reddening visibly. What are you thinking? She dropped it yesterday. I picked it up. I was going to give it back to her today. Chin Kuin pushed the boy's hand away and straightened his collar. TCH. Boring. I thought you and Shinlini had a story. Got me all excited for nothing. The girl just rolled her eyes and went back, no longer interested. The boy didn't believe Chin Kuin's words and repeatedly questioned. Really? You're not lying to me, are you? If you're lying, may your M dash. I'm not lying to you. It was you who called me yesterday, telling me to hurry over, saying it was urgent. I bumped into her when I was running over, and it fell out. Then when I got there, you told me you got a pentakill and wanted me to take a quick look. Bumped into her? No way, bro, you're still alive? She would definitely pull out a knife and stab you to death in the next second. The boy pursed his lips, looking somewhat disbelieving of Chin Kuin's words. In his mind, after bumping into Shinlini would have a cold face, her eyes filled with murderous intent, and then she would pull out a knife from somewhere and stab Chin Kuin fiercely, telling him to be more careful in his next life. How could Chin Kuin be completely fine like now? Chin Kuin pouted helplessly and said, Too lazy to deal with you. As they were talking, a figure walked in from the door. This person was Shinlini. Even in hot weather, she didn't dress too revealingly. She was very conservative, a stark contrast to those girls in revealing outfits. But even so, her figure and face were exquisite. As soon as she entered the door, she attracted countless gazes. Although they didn't dare to talk to Shinlini, looking was fine, right? Shinlini kept her head down, vaguely exuding a faint aura of repulsion, and went to her usual seat and sat down. After Chin Kuin saw Shinlini arrive, he immediately got up and walked towards her. Damn, bro, you really dare. The boy stood behind, completely stunned. He didn't expect Chin Kuin to actually dare to go to Shinlini. How many people had tried to approach Shinlini before, only to be pushed away by that cold aura? Now no one dared to get close, boys and girls alike. It had even reached an exaggerated point where if you lost a game of truth or dare and had to say a word to Shinlini, you would be directly refused because it was too difficult to accomplish. Chin Kuin came to Shinlini, placed the bookmark directly on her desk, and said, Sorry, this is what you dropped when I bumped into you yesterday. Shinlini paused, looked at the bookmark on the desk. No wonder she couldn't find it yesterday, no matter how hard she looked. She raised her head, looked at Chin Kuin, her expression and demeanor exactly the same as when they collided yesterday. Chin Kuin was stunned again, looking at Shinlini's face, dazed for a second. Thank you. Shinlini lowered her head and said in an extremely soft voice, a sentence only Chin Kuin could hear, others couldn't. Chin Kuin blinked, came to his senses, and replied, No, it's nothing. After returning the bookmark, Chin Kuin went back to his seat. He didn't expect to say anything more to Shinlini. However, being able to witness this different side of Shinlini was an unexpected gain for him. He dared to guarantee that he was definitely the only one in the class who had seen this side of Shinlini. Bro, you really dared? Aren't you afraid she'll scold you? Every time I make eye contact with her, I feel like she's about to scold me in the next second. The boy looked at Chin Kuin with admiration, impressed that he could remain so calm and retreat unscathed from Shinlini, accomplishing a feat others couldn't. Chin Kuin opened his mouth and said softly, She wouldn't scold people, right? I feel. This is just a way for her to protect herself. Okay, anyway, that's how I feel. Huh? Protect herself? Why? We're her classmates, not bad guys. Why protect herself like this? Besides, even if she doesn't trust others, it's been a year, and she's still protecting herself? I think she just looks down on others, thinking they're not worthy of talking to her. I don't think so. Chin Kuin muttered softly, gently shaking his head, then turned his head to look towards Shinlini. Shinlini continued reading her book, expressionless. She indeed looked unapproachable, But Chin Kun always felt that Shenlini wasn't like that. After witnessing that side of her, he was even more convinced of his feeling. Nearing noon break, the freshmen finished their first round of training and were now sitting on the sports field resting, waiting for lunch. The moment they were dismissed, In-min Gran ran to Jo Hong. Honey, don't. If this gets filmed and posted online, I'll be cyberbullied. Oh, it's okay, why bother with them? You worked hard, this is what I should do. At this moment, Jo Hong was sitting on the ground, while In-min Gran was kneeling beside him, helping him massage his legs. This made Jo Hong feel a bit embarrassed. In front of the whole class, this treatment was a bit too good. If this was filmed and spread, he would be cursed to death. Jo Hong saw more and more people around them peeking and whispering, so he quickly switched places with In-min Gran. Honey, my turn. Jo Hong started massaging In-min Gran. This way, at least others wouldn't misunderstand so much, right? This should show that they were just showing off their affection. Their relationship is really good. How long have they been together? Jingyu sat beside Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue, asking softly. Tang Ji thought for a moment and said, Not yet a year, but it's close. It seems like their 1-year anniversary is in about 10 days. Not even a year yet? I thought they had been together for a long time. Their situation is rather special. Tang Ji replied faintly, surprising Jingyu. However, seeing that Tang Ji didn't continue, she didn't press further. At noon, the students all flocked to the cafeteria, ready to eat. It was Jingyu's first time in such a crowded cafeteria, and she was still a bit nervous, having to be careful with everything she did, otherwise an unflattering side of her might be captured. Fortunately, the students weren't as crazy as on the first day, otherwise she wouldn't have been able to come to such a crowded place. She figured that in about a month, her presence would be verknuth, and then it wouldn't cause any commotion. Now, it was just because they found her novel. It would be fine once the novelty wore off. After In-min Gran sat down, she specifically saved a seat, then called Shenlini to ask her to eat together. After class, Chin Kun had been following Shenlini from a distance until he saw her answer a call. Hello. Ran. Okay, I'll be right there. Okay. Although Chin Kun couldn't hear clearly what Shenlini was saying from a distance, he could hear her tone and slightly see her expression. This wasn't the same Shenlini from just now either, was it? Who was she talking to on the phone? Her boyfriend? No, it should be that person from yesterday, right? Chin Kun remembered that when he bumped into Shenlini yesterday, there was someone with her, heavily covered, wearing a hat and a mask. He couldn't see who it was. When he went back at night, Chin Kun still found it incredible. He didn't expect Shenlini to actually have friends. Chin Kun instantly became curious, as if he had discovered a secret no one else knew. Now he had to figure out this secret. So he kept following Shenlini, following her to the cafeteria. The cafeteria was very crowded. Most people would actively move away when they saw Shenlini. Chin Kun always maintained a safe distance, finally seeing Shenlini head straight for a table. There was only one boy there, the rest were girls, all wearing military training uniforms, all freshmen. The key was those girls, one was more beautiful than the next. Even Shenlini, as the department beauty, couldn't highlight her uniqueness. Ran, I'm here. You're here. Sister, quick, sit. Shenlini's face instantly changed expression, shocking Chin Kun behind her. How could this transformation be so smooth? Who were these people? Why did Shenlini have this attitude when she was with them? Isn't that? Chin Kun also noticed that among them was someone. Wasn't that Jingyu? Shenlini actually knew Jingyu too? Strange. While eating, Chin Kun carefully observed the situation over there, his eyes not even moving away from Shenlini. Jo Hong put down his chopsticks, looked at the girls in front of him, and said, that boy in the back has been staring at us for a long time. Does any of you know him? Hearing Jo Hong say this, several girls turned around to look. When Chin Kun saw all those girls turn to look at him, he was so scared he immediately lowered his head. As a result, he used too much force, and his nose plunged into his rice. That boy. Jingyu spoke first. She immediately recognized this boy as the one who almost bumped into Shenlini yesterday. She was right beside them at the time, and even said something to him. After Shenlini saw Chin Kun, she paused for a moment, stunned for a few seconds, then turned her head back and said softly, My classmate. Your classmate? He's been staring at you just now. What's going on? Jo Hong looked at Shenlini with interest, asking eagerly, his eyes full of a desire for gossip. I don't know. After Chin Kun was discovered, he quickly wolfed down a few bites and hurriedly left the cafeteria, not daring to stay long. Meanwhile, Jo Hong and his group were still discussing the matter. He bumped into you yesterday, and then returned your bookmark this morning. Sounds like nothing special, huh? Tangji looked at Shunlini in surprise after hearing her recount yesterday's events. Because it didn't sound like there was any particularly special plot, why would that boy keep staring at Shunlini? Yulingshu asked with a smile. Could he like you? Before Shunlini could speak, Mingran beside her spoke first. There must be many who like sister. That's not a big deal, right? How can anyone like me? Shunlini lowered her head and mumbled softly. She had a very clear understanding of herself. How could someone who always wore a cold, grumpy face be liked? Since she was little, she had hoped to be liked by everyone. This kind of thinking led to her being dealt a huge blow if even one person disliked her. In the end, even if 9 out of 10 people liked her and only one didn't, she would still feel that no one liked her. Shunlini had such a personality. Although she was severely socially anxious and had completely closed herself off, deep down, she still hoped to make many friends. Soon it was afternoon. Juan Hong and the others continued their military training, while Shunlini went to the classroom for class. As she walked to the classroom, she happened to arrive at the door at the same time as Qin Kuan, who was walking toward her. Qin Kuan awkwardly took a step back, letting Shunlini enter first, and said softly, You first, please. Shunlini, holding her books, nodded slightly and responded with an extremely soft After Qin Kuan entered the classroom, his friend immediately came over, grabbed Qin Kuan's arm, and asked in a low voice, What's going on, bro? How come you came with Shunlini? We just happened to meet at the door. What do you mean came together? Happened to me? Don't tell me you were following her. You're really bold. Aren't there enough girls for you to choose from? You had to pick the most impossible one. What are you talking about? Qin Kuan shook off the boy's hand, raised his head to look in Shunlini's direction, saw her sit down, open a book and start reading, without looking up or elsewhere, as if everything around her had nothing to do with her. Qin Kuan stared at Shunlini for a long time, silent for a long time, as if thinking about something. After a while, he looked at the boy beside him and asked, Do you think there's a possibility that Shunlini actually really wants to make friends, but she doesn't know how? Bro, are you stupid? Come on, you tell Big Damn. Where does she look like she wants to make friends? The boy turned Qin Kuan's head towards Shunlini and questioned him. Qin Kuan looked at Shunlini, and the image of her from when he bumped into her yesterday and the image of her in the cafeteria at noon flashed in his mind. At that time, did he also see her smile a little? Qin Kuan frowned slightly, pushed the boy aside, and said, Watch carefully, I'll show you what a man is. After speaking, he walked straight towards Shunlini. The boy wanted to stop him, but couldn't, no matter how hard he tried. Hey, what are you doing? Are you crazy? At this moment, the classroom couldn't help but fall silent. Most eyes turned to Qin Kuan, wondering what he was going to do. The next second, under everyone's gaze, Qin Kuan sat down in the seat next to Shunlini, a seat no one had ever dared to occupy. The boy sucked in a sharp breath, his eyes instantly widening in horror. He shook his head and mumbled, Bro, you're not just a man, you're a tough guy, you're a daredevil. Shunlini, who was reading, froze instantly. Her peripheral vision saw someone sit down beside her. When they sat down, she felt it too. Is she trembling? Qin Kuan frowned slightly, somewhat surprised. Although Shunlini didn't look up, her body seemed to be trembling slightly. Ahem. Qin Kuan coughed softly twice, reached out his hand, and said to Shunlini in a low voice, Can I borrow a book to read? I want to read too. Is that okay? Shunlini paused, then her hand slowly reached in her desk, randomly took out another book, placed it on her desk, and then gently pushed the book over with her finger. From beginning to end, Shunlini didn't look up or say a word. But Qin Kuan felt it. Shunlini seemed to be misunderstood. Before he sat down, he himself was wondering what Shunlini's attitude would be, whether she would look up and glare at him fiercely, then say some incredibly cold and harsh words. Qin Kuan was already mentally prepared for these. But now, after he actually sat down and forcibly talked to Shunlini, he found she seemed a little scared. This was completely different from what he had expected, but it slightly confirmed his earlier guess. Can I just sit here? The lighting is pretty good here. If you don't like it, I'll leave. Qin Kuan asked softly. Shunlini's hand hesitated for a few seconds, then slowly lifted, but paused in midair for a few seconds before being put down again. This confused Qin Kuan. Did she agree or not? But Qin Kuan, adhering to the attitude of being shameless to the end, nodded and said with a smile, Then I'll take it as you agreed. Thank you. After speaking, he lowered his head to look at the book Shunlini had lent him. At first glance, there were no words on the cover. He was a little puzzled. What kind of book was this? Why didn't it have a name? He casually flipped open a page, frowned, stared at the words on it, and read aloud. Ran Ran is really so cute. She is the best sister in the world. Swish. 0.01 seconds later, a hand shot out at an invisible speed and instantly snatched the book from Qin Kuen's hand. Before Qin Kuen could react to what happened, his hand was already empty. Looking at Shunlini, he found that she had already stuffed the book in her desk. At the same time, Shunlini's ears were clearly red, thoroughly red. Qin Kuen's mouth hung, slightly open. Only then did he realize what that was. Was that your diary? Qin Kuen realized he seemed to have seen something he shouldn't have. Shunlini, too, had just handed it to him without looking. Who knew it was her diary? He had just been wondering why the cover of this book had no title. Shunlini slowly raised her head, her cheeks flushed crimson, lips pursed, looking at Qin Kuen with a slightly aggrieved expression. It even seemed like tears were welling up in the corners of her eyes. Qin Kuen's heart trembled uncontrollably, a sudden surge of alarm and unease. Was he about to make Shunlini cry? Smack! Without a word, Qin Kuen slapped himself hard on the head, so forcefully that it instantly left a red palm print. I have amnesia. I don't remember anything. Shunlini was taken aback by Qin Kuen's childish behavior. The next second, she let out a soft humph, quickly lowered her head, pursed her lips tightly, her body trembling slightly. A flash of surprise crossed Qin Kuen's eyes. He blinked a few times, a feeling of joyful excitement welling up inside him. Had he made Shunlini laugh? So she could laugh in front of others. Qin Kuen awkwardly scratched his head with his finger and said softly, do you know my name? You probably don't even know who I am, do you? I know. Shunlini's voice drifted out. After a few seconds' pause, she slowly said, Qin Kuen. So you do know. Thank you. Qin Kuen thanked her softly. He hadn't expected Shunlini, with whom he had never interacted, to actually know his name. He thought Shunlini was definitely not interested in anyone and wouldn't bother to remember anyone's name. They didn't say anything more. Until class started, they sat together, but there was no communication. Many people were very envious of Qin Kuen, daring to sit next to Shunlini without being driven away. It was truly enviable. It was also the first time Shunlini had someone sit next to her in class, making her feel a bit uncomfortable. During class, she found it somewhat difficult to concentrate. After class, Qin Kuen consciously left. He felt his actions had already been very bold. He just wanted to test whether Shunlini was really as he thought. Now it seemed his guess was correct. Shunlini seemed to be deeply misunderstood. Her true personality was probably very different from her outward appearance. Bro, how was it? What did you say to her? I just saw you slap yourself. What? When the boy saw Qin Kuen walk out, he immediately grabbed him and asked about the situation. Qin Kuen waved his hand and casually replied, didn't say much. In the evening, the military training was coming to an end. Most students were so tired they couldn't even get up from the ground. Juan Hong and his group were also sitting in a circle, chatting, waiting to be dismissed. The drill instructor stood in front, looked at the students below, and said loudly, does anyone here have a talent to perform? Come up and perform for everyone. This sentence instantly silenced the students. They looked at each other, none intending to stand up. When Juan Hong and Min Gran heard this, they immediately looked to the side. What me? Tang Ji pointed at herself and mumbled, somewhat puzzled, although she had rarely missed such an event throughout her school years. Yu Ling Xue and Jingyu, hearing that Tang Ji was going to perform, immediately became interested. They hadn't seen it before and were very curious. Juan Hong raised his chin and said, go ahead. It would be a pity not to perform a talent you've learned. All right. Tang Ji slowly stood up and patted her pants. The instructor, seeing someone stand up, clapped and shouted, come, let's welcome this student with applause. Everyone turned around, looked at Tang Ji, who had stood up, walked to the front, and also clapped. Tang Ji walked up and asked, is there music? Yes. The instructor, as if prepared in advance, took out a small speaker and placed it on the ground. After some adjustments, the music started playing. As the music began, Tang Ji closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and then started dancing. Just then, a gust of wind blew, rustling Tang Ji's long hair. Her dance was very graceful, her steps extremely rhythmic like an elf, dancing lightly. Every movement was just right. It was a visual feast, making people hold their breath. Wow! After a brief moment of stunned silence, the students below burst into cheers, the sound loud enough to be heard throughout the entire field. Instantly, other classes that were resting all shifted their gazes over, their eyes fixed on Tang Ji dancing there. Damn, goddess! Baitsong heard the voices of his classmates beside him, looked up, and his eyes widened in surprise when he saw Tang Ji. Damn, isn't that Sister Tang? Huh. Su Pengyi, sitting next to Baitsong, as if by reflex, instantly looked up in the direction of the sound. The next second, Su Pengyi's mouth dropped open in astonishment, unable to close. He had thought Tang Ji had already given him enough surprises, but he never expected this side of her. Wow. The classmates around them all took out their phones and started recording. For a moment, it seemed as if the entire field attention was focused on Tang Ji. This made Su Pengyi panic. His heart filled with unease. The person he liked was exposed to the public eye, liked by even more people. Didn't that mean he had even less of a chance? Originally, there were no competitors. After this incident, the competitors would probably line up. She was already beautiful, with a great figure and temperament. Now that she had performed a talent, she had undoubtedly secured the priority in mate selection. The dance ended, and Tang Ji finished her moves. Not only her own classmates, but even students from other classes started applauding. Tang Ji walked back to the line, returned to Juan Hong and the others, and sat down. So amazing. Tang Ji, I didn't know you had such skills. You could even be on show. Jingyu praised sincerely. The moment Tang Ji danced, her aura completely changed, beautiful beyond words. Her professionalism was also impeccable, a completely professional dancer. Tang Ji looked up at Juan Hong opposite her and said in a low voice, "All right, if anyone comes to bother me, you have to help me." Tang Ji had already anticipated what would happen. After all, this wasn't the first time. Juan Hong had always helped her solve such things, so she hoped it would be the same this time. Juan Hong pointed to Yu Lingxue beside her and said, "Aren't you Lingxue and Baitsong here? What are you afraid of?" After dismissing in the evening, the students prepared to return to their dormitories. Juan Hong and his group were the same, planning to send Tang Ji and the others back to the girls' dormitory first, and then they would go back. "Hello there." Just then, a voice came from behind the group. This very deliberate greeting made them instantly understand who it was. Yu Lingxue chuckled softly and whispered in Tang Ji's ear, "The first one to bother you has arrived." Sigh. Tang Ji sighed and didn't turn around, but everyone else stopped and looked behind them. Following them was indeed Su Pengyi. He had been following Tang Ji since they were dismissed. Seeing that she was about to reach the dormitory, who knew how many people would confess to Tang Ji the next day? If he wasn't quick, if he didn't act now, he would lose his chance. "We'll head off first." Juan Hong directly took Yin Mingran's hand and left first. Before leaving, he even gave Yu Lingxue a look, signaling her to handle it. Yu Lingxue gave an okay gesture and nodded. I'll head back first too. You guys, be careful." Jingyu also said a word and went back to the girls' dormitory first. She felt like she shouldn't be standing there and should avoid it. After Su Pengyi walked up, he blinked in confusion, wondering why everyone else left as soon as he arrived. Could it be they were creating an opportunity for him and Tang Ji to be alone? But there was still one person who hadn't left. Yu Lingxue whispered in Tang Ji's ear, "How should we do it? Go all out or leave some room?" "Go all out. Best to solve it once and for all, no next time." "Okay." Yu Lingxue completely understood Tang Ji's meaning, but Tang Ji had a slightly ominous premonition. Yu Lingxue turned around, looked at Su Pengyi behind her, coughed twice, and said to him, "Are you looking for my Tang Ji? What's the matter?" Tang Ji and Su Pengyi both made confused sounds at the same time, looking at Yu Lingxue with astonishment. You're Tang Ji, what do you mean?" Su Pengyi gave a bitter smile, pointed at Tang Ji, and asked doubtfully. And Yu Lingxue directly put her arm around Tang Ji's shoulder. "Isn't it obvious? What are you doing?" Tang Ji pouted her back to Su Pengyi and said to Yu Lingxue in a low voice, "This is more decisive." After a brief moment of stunned silence, Su Pengyi smiled helplessly and said, "Stop joking. I know it's fake, impossible." Yu Lingxue's mouth twitched. Did she act that unconvincingly? There was nothing she could do. She really didn't know how to act. She wasn't an expert in this area. Ahem. The three of them heard a cough. They looked up and found someone appearing behind Su Pengyi. Well, the expert in this field has arrived. Yu Lingxue snorted. That person was Baitsong. Baitsong stood there staring at Su Pengyi for a few seconds, then slowly walked forward and put his hand on Su Pengyi's shoulder. "What are you doing? Can't you see I'm busy right now?" Su Pengyi didn't understand what Baitsong wanted to do and said to him in a low voice, wondering why he couldn't read the situation. Couldn't he see the current circumstances? Baitsong patted Su Pengyi's shoulder hard a couple of times, making him grimace. Then he walked to the front, stood in front of Tang Ji, and said to Su Pengyi, "What do you want?" If you have any ideas about Sister Tang, come me first. My relationship with Sister Tang is not as simple as you think. Relationship? What relationship do you have? Su Pingyi frowned tightly, his face changing, and questioned in a low voice. Tang Ji, standing behind, actually had the same reaction as Su Pingyi. She also wanted to know, what relationship did she have with Baitsong? Baitsong snorted and shook his head, saying, Sister Tang and I have had many unknown stories. For example, we had an intense exercise in a dark alley. At that time, Sister Tang sweated a lot, and my legs even went soft. As soon as Baitsong said this, the other three people's mouths dropped wide open, as if they could stuff a fist in them. What? What are you saying? Tang Ji, say something to him. He's slandering you. He's slandering you. Su Pingyi pointed at Baitsong, his face green with anger, stammering excitedly. Tang Ji was stunned for a long time before she reacted. Baitsong was talking about the time she beat him up for 10 minutes? It was indeed in a dark alley, and for her it was indeed intense exercise. Her hands even hurt from hitting, so she did sweat a lot, and Baitsong was indeed beaten until his legs went soft. But, to say it like this, wasn't it a bit? No, Tang Ji was about to say something, raising her finger at Baitsong, but Baitsong waved his hand, stopping Tang Ji from speaking, gave her a resolute look, and said loudly, just say whether this happened or not. Is this true or not? Tang Ji tilted her head, looking at Baitsong as if he were an idiot. This matter was indeed true. It did happen, but the way it was said was too. Su Pingyi was also stunned at this moment, because he saw Tang Ji hesitate. If it were something very absurd, Tang Ji should have said something immediately. Tang Ji put her hands on her hips, pouted, hesitated for a few seconds, and nodded. Yes, it happened. It's true. As soon as Tang Ji said this, Su Pingyi felt his heart shatter in an instant. As if it had been smashed by a giant hammer, broken into pieces. Even the person herself admitted it. Generally, if such words were false, they would be clarified immediately, right? But the person herself actually admitted it. A dark alley, two people, intense exercise, sweating, and legs going soft. What more needed to be explained? Even a fool would understand. You guys. You actually. Su Pingyi took 2 steps back, completely unable to believe it, but he had to. Indeed, Baitsong was very handsome. Even he felt inferior. The things in his dormitory also proved that his family was very rich. He wasn't short of money at all. Such a handsome, rich, and smart person. Really couldn't compare. Sighed. Su Pingyi bit his lip, sighed, and turned to leave. He felt his mood was very heavy and needed to go back and calm down. After Su Pingyi left, Baitsong turned his head to face Tang Ji, bowed, and said, I'm really sorry, Sister Tang. You can beat me up. Don't let it happen again. This has already greatly affected my reputation. A few minutes later, Tang Ji rubbed her hands, frowned, and muttered. Baitsong, after being beaten up, seemed perfectly fine, completely unaffected. This made Tang Ji wonder, how could Baitsong be so resilient to beatings? His build wasn't that strong, yet he was so sturdy. Yes. My fault. But, this way, he probably won't pester you anymore, right? This can be considered helping you solve a problem. Who asked you to solve it like this? Tang Ji punched Baitsong hard 3 more times, gritting her teeth in anger, panting heavily. Baitsong just covered his head, silently taking the beating. All right. Let's go back. Yuling Xue stopped Tang Ji. If this continued, Baitsong would be fine, but Tang Ji might exhaust herself from hitting him. Really, so annoying. Tang Ji cursed as Yuling Xue pulled her away. Baitsong watched the two leave, even raising his hand to wave, shouting, Take care. Bang! As soon as his voice fell, a lollipop flew over and hit Baitsong squarely on the forehead. Baitsong awkwardly rubbed his forehead, picked up the lollipop, and turned to leave. He wanted to go straight back to the dormitory, but saw Su Pingyi actually sitting downstairs from the dormitory building. Baitsong glanced at him doubtfully, not intending to bother with him. But as he passed by, he faintly heard a sobbing sound. Damn it! Crying? Seriously? Aren't you ashamed? Baitsong's eyebrows furrowed, and he pointed at Su Pingyi, questioning him loudly. Su Pingyi heard the voice and slowly raised his head. There were still tear stains on his face, looking very sad. Get lost. None of your business. Someone like you who can easily get what you want will never understand how I feel. Baitsong's frown deepened into a knot, his eyes filled with disdain for Su Pingyi. What do you mean I can easily get what I want? What I want is different from what you want. Do you think everything can be bought with money? What else do you want? Haven't you gotten enough? Su Pingyi stood up, staring at Baitsong and shouting. Me? What have I gotten? I really admire how cowardly you can be. Pursuing Tang Ji is much harder than you imagine. You still think you can succeed with your shameless spirit and a few hasty confessions? Then you might as well go home, curl up in bed, and have a good cry, coward. Baitsong gave a thumbs down, fiercely despising Su Pengyi. His actions today to provoke Su Pengyi were entirely out of his desire for revenge, although the other person might not have offended him. But he really didn't expect him to be so fragile. Such a small provocation had crushed him, making him cry here. This made Baitsong truly look down on him, so his tone was rather harsh. After being harshly berated by Baitsong, Su Pengyi was stunned for a long time, his whole body as if petrified. After a while, he silently lowered his head, as if deep in thought. You're right. It's precisely because Tang Ji is so hard to get that she's so attractive to me. If she could be pursued so easily, that would be strange. Su Pengyi wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, as if he had figured things out. His previously dazed eyes now became firm. Exactly, that's the right way to think. Baitsong snorted, nodding with satisfaction, but the next second, he felt something was a bit off. Had he encouraged him? Su Pengyi looked at Baitsong and asked, so, are you and Tang Ji a couple or not? No. Of course not. How could that be? Baitsong answered almost reflexively. After all, what he had said, no matter how you put it, was at least the truth, just a bit ambiguous. But on the issue of being a couple, he couldn't say anything more. If he lied and Tang Ji found out, he would be in big trouble. As long as you're not, then I won't give up pursuing Tang Ji. I don't care about her past. I just like her, Su Pengyi said seriously, then walked straight towards the dormitory, leaving Baitsong standing there alone, motionless, completely dumbfounded. Baitsong realized he had been beaten for nothing. His words were all in vain. He had unintentionally helped Su Pengyi regain his confidence. Tang Ji wouldn't let him off. Crap. All for nothing. After Baitsong went back, he didn't sleep well that night. Early the next morning, military training began. Most people were exhausted, completely lacking energy. During the morning run, many couldn't keep up. At lunchtime, the students all went to the cafeteria. Just as Tang Ji sat down, someone stood next to her table. Tang Ji slowly raised her head, looked at the person beside her, and instantly frowned. Can I sit here? The person standing beside Tang Ji was Su Pengyi. He was holding his tray, looking at Tang Ji with a slight smile. Tang Ji was stunned for a few seconds, then lowered her head, leaned closer to Yu Lingxue, and whispered, I can't hit anymore. You go beat up Baitsong tonight, beat him hard, beat him to death. Roger that. Yu Lingxue made an okay gesture and readily accepted the task. After all, she was very good at it. Can I sit here? Su Pengyi was quite smart. Seeing Tang Ji didn't express an opinion, he didn't ask her a second time, but turned to ask Juan Hong, pointing to the seat next to Juan Hong. Juan Hong was slightly taken aback. He had no reason to refuse either. The cafeteria wasn't his, and no one was sitting next to him. Go ahead and sit. Juan Hong had no choice but to let Su Pengyi sit down, right opposite Tang Ji. I'm done eating. The second Su Pengyi sat down, Tang Ji stood up, picked up her tray, and was about to leave. In reality, she hadn't eaten much at all. But just as Tang Ji stood up, their drill instructor happened to pass by. Seeing that Tang Ji's plate was almost untouched, he stopped and couldn't help but say to her, Student, don't waste food. Wasting is shameful. Food is hard-earned. TSK. Tang Ji's movement froze. She clicked her tongue, and helplessly, she sat down again. Yu Lingxue leaned closer to Tang Ji and whispered, It's okay. Why care about him? So many people annoy you, yet you're particularly concerned about him. Isn't that making him misunderstand? Tang Ji bit her lip, glared at Yu Lingxue, and said in a low voice, Because I especially hate him. Qin Kuan, let's go. No class this afternoon. Want to play some pool? I'm not going. I have something to do. In the dorm room, Qin Kuan waved his hand in refusal. He was carrying a bag, looking like he was about to go out. What could you possibly have to do? Going on a date? With whom? It's not a date. I just want to pick up a new hobby. After Qin Kuan finished speaking, he walked out the door and left the dormitory with his bag. He took out his phone to check the time, looking quite rushed, and mumbled at this time. She should be there, right? He jogged all the way to the school library. The moment he walked into the library, he started looking around, as if searching for someone. Finally, his eyes lit up. In a corner, he saw a figure from behind. She seemed to have hidden herself there, in a very secluded but secure spot. And as expected, she was alone. This person was Shun Lini. Her life basically consisted of classes, the library, and going back to her dorm to sleep. Only when she was with Min Gran and the others would her life become more enriched. Qin Kuan walked over quietly, heading straight for the empty seat beside her. "Hi, can I sit here?" Even before Shanlini noticed Qin Kuen's presence, Qin Kuen greeted her and sat down right next to her. This was quite a shock to Shanlini's little heart. She trembled all over and almost fell off her stool. Hey, be careful." Qin Kuen subconsciously reached out to support Shanlini's arm, preventing her from falling. But this physical contact made Shanlini very uncomfortable. The next second, she forcefully shook off Qin Kuen's hand. It was like she was totally grossed out, wanting to get his hand off her ASAP. If it were an ordinary person, they would have been provoked by Shanlini's attitude and would have immediately left. But Qin Kuen didn't. Ever since he tested Shanlini yesterday, he had made up his mind. He knew Shanlini wasn't like what others imagined, so he understood that this behavior was just Shanlini's self-protection, not genuine disgust towards him. Shanlini didn't say anything more, but lowered her head very low, staring at the book in her hand. "Don't get so close, it's bad for your eyes." Qin Kuen spoke again, gently advising her. Shanlini didn't answer, but she slowly raised her head a little. Qin Kuen was very pleasantly surprised to see that Shanlini actually listened to him. His bold actions hadn't caused any problems. Then, Qin Kuen opened his backpack, took out many books, put them on the table, and said, "Do you want to try reading these? They're all pretty good. I highly recommend them." He knew Shanlini liked to read, so he had carefully selected many books he thought she would like. This was called catering to her preferences. Shanlini tilted her head slightly, glanced at the books in Qin Kuen's hand, and said softly, "These. I've read them all." "Ah." Qin Kuen blinked, his gaze fixed, stunned. "These?" He had 7 or 8 books in his hand, both popular and obscure ones. She'd read them all. How is that possible? "Wow, you're amazing. You've read all of these. Then I have to learn from you. Actually, I haven't read any of these yet." Qin Kuen awkwardly scratched his head. In reality, he hadn't read these books at all. The so-called recommendation was just to find a topic. Upon hearing Shanlini had read them all, he stopped pretending. He was afraid of being exposed. Just then, Shanlini suddenly extended a finger towards Qin Kuen's desk. Then, she gently tapped one of the books. "This one, it's good." "Oh, really? Okay, I'll read it now." Qin Kuen was very excited. Could this be considered Shanlini actively talking to him? She even recommended a book to him. This already proved that he had been very successful so far. Qin Kuen quickly opened the book and started reading. After 5 minutes, Qin Kuen came to a conclusion. He was really not suited for reading. He would read a passage 3 times. He didn't know why. It was as if he couldn't concentrate. He recognized all the words, but when he read them out, his mind didn't form the picture. He couldn't enter the world within, so he had to read it 3 times to understand. In these 5 minutes, he also spent a minute occasionally glancing at Shanlini. But Shanlini was very focused. He could only see her eyes moving, reading line by line. Buzz! Qin Kuen's phone vibrated. He took it out and saw pictures sent by his friends. His friends were playing pool, basketball, badminton. Many people were inviting him to join them. He looked down at the invitations from his friends, bit his lip, then raised his head and glanced at Shanlini beside him. "No, you guys go ahead and play." Qin Kuen declined all invitations, put his phone on silent, tucked it into his pocket, focused his mind, and looked at the book. During the process, Qin Kuen didn't say another word to Shanlini because he knew she came here for quiet reading. He couldn't keep pestering her just because he wanted to talk to her. That would only make her annoyed. He set his expectations very low. Before coming here, he had thought that if he could just say one sentence to Shanlini, it would be a success, even if he didn't sit next to her. As it turned out, not only did they sit together, they even talked, and Shanlini even actively recommended a book to him. This was already a great success. He wasn't greedy, so for the rest of the time, he also read seriously, without disturbing Shanlini. After about 2 hours, Shanlini seemed to be leaving. She closed her book and packed her things. Seeing Shanlini about to leave, Qin Kuen didn't continue either. He also packed his things, preparing to leave. Thank you for today," Qin Kuen said softly to Shanlini. Shanlini stood there, a little dumbfounded, clearly confused as to why Qin Kuen was thanking her. However, she didn't ask further, just gently shook her head, then slung her bag over her shoulder and walked out. As she passed by Qin Kuen, the fresh scent of her hair wafted into his nostrils. He watched Shanlini leave the library. How can she be so charming? Birthday? What's going on? It's her birthday. Right after the military training ends. This is the first birthday I'll be celebrating with her, and I don't know what to do. That evening, Juan Hong took Yin Minggran out for dinner with Tang Ji and Yuling Xue. After eating, while they were chatting, Yin Minggran went to the restroom. Zhou Hong took this opportunity to tell Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue about it. Yimingran's birthday was in 3 days, right after the military training. Tang Ji was a bit puzzled and asked, "How is it her birthday? Isn't it your first anniversary celebration? That's more than 10 days away. Her birthday comes first." Zhou Hong was currently very troubled by this. After all, a birthday definitely needed to be special. He had no clue how to arrange the itinerary or what gift to give. It was the first time he was celebrating Yimingran's birthday, so a casually bought gift definitely wouldn't do, no matter how expensive. It had to be meaningful. Last year, when it was Yimingran's birthday, he hadn't brought her home yet, and she was going through the cruelest blow of her life at the time, so she had no mind for birthdays. It was just missed. But this year was different. He had the chance to celebrate Yimingran's birthday. So he had started thinking about how to celebrate early on, but he still hadn't figured it out. So I want you guys to help me brainstorm. What do you think? How can we make this birthday great? Zhou Hong looked at Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue. This was his only chance to ask for their opinions. Once Yimingran returned, the opportunity would be gone. Yu Lingxue thought for a moment and said, "Why don't you guys go on a trip? Go have some fun. That probably won't work, right? We don't have that much time to travel." Zhou Hong had considered this, but it was clearly not feasible. Their studies were already very demanding, and they didn't have much time for leisure, only one day. So this idea was definitely out. Just then, Tang Ji slowly spoke from the side. Is this really that complicated? Zhou Hong looked up at Tang Ji, not understanding what she meant. Tang Ji tapped the table and said, "Think about what Yimingran needs most. You probably think Yimingran doesn't need anything now, but think carefully what's she missing the most? What is it? What are you guys doing?" Just then, Yimingran returned from the restroom and saw Zhou Hong and Tang Ji high-fiving, feeling a bit puzzled. It's nothing. We were just discussing something and reached a consensus." Zhou Hong chuckled and made up an excuse to brush it off. Yimingran didn't ask further. She knew Zhou Hong and Tang Ji often discussed things she didn't understand. It was like a tacit understanding between them. After a while, they went back. The discussion on this matter ended there, but Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue still had things to discuss. After returning to their dormitory, they started talking about the earlier topic. What should we do? For Yimingran's birthday, what gift should we give? Tang Ji had solved Zhou Heng's problem, but her own was actually more difficult. What gift to give was the biggest challenge. This is really hard to say. I feel like mine should be quite easy to solve, but as her best friend, it's indeed not easy for you. Jingyu, hearing their discussion, quickly came over to join in, asking, Is Yimingran having a birthday? Which day? Although Jingyu hadn't known them for long, she still hoped to get along well with Yimingran, so she definitely couldn't miss her birthday. 3 days later, we just found out too. After Zhou Hong and Yimingran returned, Yimingran started packing her things, came to Zhou Hong, and said, "Hubby, take off your clothes, I'll take them to wash." "Oh, okay." Zhou Hong obediently took off his clothes and handed them to Yimingran. Then, while Yimingran was doing laundry, he took out his phone, edited a message, and sent it. Time quickly passed to 3 days later. The university students' military training had ended. After the weekend break, classes would begin. Early in the morning, Zhou Hong opened his eyes. His biological clock seemed to know that today was a very important day, so it woke him up early. After Zhou Hong opened his eyes, he looked beside him and found Yimingran, who was lying in his arms, still fast asleep. Zhou Hong didn't rush to get up, but let Yimingran sleep a little longer. After all, a week of military training was very tiring. After lying there for about 20 minutes, Yimingran slowly opened her eyes and yawned. Morning. Hubby, why are you awake so early?" Probably because I went to bed early last night." Zhou Hong scratched his head and replied softly. He wanted to see Yimingran's reaction. After all, it was her birthday today. She should have some reaction, right? He even wanted to pretend he didn't remember it was her birthday, let her feel a little disappointed, and then have a reversal. But looking at Yimingran's reaction now, it seemed like she herself didn't remember it was her birthday. Okay, I'll get up first then. What do you want for breakfast? I'll go out and buy it for you." Yimingran sat up, straightened her slightly messy nightgown, and then got out of bed. Yimingran turned on the bathroom light, walked in, picked up the toiletries by the sink, and glanced at the mirror. This glance instantly froze Yimingran. She saw in the mirror, behind her, there seemed to be something. Yimingran spun around abruptly and looked behind her. There placed was a large bouquet of flowers, 999 of them. Next to the flowers were several gift boxes, big and small, all exquisitely decorated. Yimingran covered her mouth, her face full of surprise, her eyes filled with disbelief, wide open. At this moment, a pair of arms embraced her from behind, and Zhou Heng's voice came softly by her ear. Your birthday. Let's start it with flowers from early morning. Happy birthday, wifey. My birthday. In Minggran blinked, stunned for a long time before she reacted. Ah, today isn't my birthday today? I forgot. She swore she had truly forgotten. She remembered Zhou Heng's birthday, Tang Ji's birthday, and the birthdays of other important people, but she had forgotten her own. In Minggran turned around to look at Zhou Hong, tears instantly welling up in her eyes. After a blink, shiny tear tracks slid down her rosy cheeks. Hubby, you still remember my birthday. I forgot it myself. In Minggran's lips trembled, her nose quickly turning red, and she burrowed into Zhou Heng's embrace, sobbing softly. Zhou Hong gently stroked In Minggran's head and said softly, How could I possibly not remember? Even if you yourself forget, your birthday won't be forgotten because someone loves you. Woo-woo. In Minggran burst into tears. She was not only moved, but also remembered her birthday last year. She used to particularly value her birthday, thinking about it long in advance, and what delicious food she would eat with her family on that day. But unexpectedly, her parents passed away a few days before her birthday. She was immersed in grief every day. How could she possibly think about her birthday? Since then, she had completely lost all anticipation for her own birthday. Unexpectedly, Zhou Hong still remembered. How could this not make her cry? Zhou Hong comforted In Minggran for a good while before she calmed down. He remembered sneaking the flowers in last night, terrified that In Minggran would suddenly wake up. He had prepared the flowers in a pile of gifts yesterday, then asked Han Wenqi to temporarily store them in his office. In the middle of the night, after In Minggran was fast asleep, Zhou Hong went to the office, moved these things to the bathroom, arranged them, and then returned to bed. All right, wifey, hurry up and get ready. Dress beautifully. We're going out to have fun. Okay. In Minggran's cheeks were still red, but she wore her brightest smile, nodded in agreement, then tiptoed and kissed Zhou Heng's lips. Half an hour later, In Minggran and Zhou Hong were both ready. In Minggran didn't want to cause delays because of herself. She only put on light makeup, but it was beautiful enough. Then she wore a dress she usually couldn't bear to wear, twirled in front of the mirror, and asked, Hubby, is this dress okay? Zhou Hong hugged In Minggran from behind and gently kissed her cheek. Of course it is. My wife looks good in anything. Let's go, let's set off. In Minggran didn't even know where Zhou Hong was taking her, but she didn't ask. As long as she was with Zhou Hong, it didn't matter where they went. Even if she spent the whole day at home with Zhou Hong, she would feel it was the best birthday. The two packed their things and went out together, taking the elevator to the first floor. Hey, little Ran, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Have a great time today. Happy birthday, little Minggran. After reaching the first floor, the graduate students they met all wished In Minggran a happy birthday, smiling and greeting her. Although they had only lived in this building for a week, they had basically met most people and knew them. How do they all know? In Minggran responded politely one by one, then whispered in Zhou Heng's ear. I don't know either. Professor Han probably let it slip. Zhou Hong shrugged awkwardly. Seeing so many people knew In Minggran's birthday, that was probably the only possibility. When the two walked out of the building, they saw a car parked ahead. For people were standing near the car, seemingly chatting. In Minggran saw two of them, and her eyes widened instantly, a flash of surprise in them. She was stunned for a few seconds before reacting. Mom, Dad, why are they here? Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei, who were standing there chatting, saw Zhou Hong and the others come out and immediately waved them over. Come on, you're finally out. Besides Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei, one of the other two was Han Wenqi, and the other was a middle-aged man with an extraordinary temperament, looking refined and scholarly, comparable to Zhou Junyao. In Minggran quickly walked over, came to them, and asked softly, Mom, Dad, why are you here? Of course, to celebrate our precious daughter's birthday. Lu Wei bent down slightly, cupped In Minggran's cheeks with her hands, and said with a smile. Zhou Junyao also nodded with a smile beside her. Both of them were wearing casual clothes, completely different from their usual formal attire. In Minggran looked at Zhou Hong in surprise. She knew this must have been Zhou Heng's doing. Zhou Hong gently placed his hand on In Minggran's shoulder and said, What's wrong? For a birthday, shouldn't it be spent with family? Going out to play with family, eating delicious food together. Zhou Hong had thought of this after Tang Ji's hint. For In Minggran, what delicious food to eat or what good gifts to receive on her birthday wasn't a big deal. Anyway, It was all the same to her because Zhou Hong often took her to eat delicious food and often gave her gifts, so it didn't reflect the specialty of a birthday. Min Gran wouldn't lack these things. What Min Gran lacked most now was probably the care of her parents, the companionship of her family. So, only this way would it be truly meaningful for Min Gran. Min Gran stood there, somewhat stunned. She couldn't imagine what kind of love she had received. Min Gran knew how busy Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei usually were. It was hard to even meet them. But today, they actually came to celebrate her birthday. A family, going out to play together. In Mingran's world, these were scenes that only happened in dreams. Yet today, they actually came true. For a moment, she felt like crying again. These two must be your son and daughter-in-law, right? Truly a handsome couple. At this moment, the middle-aged man slowly spoke, a smile on his face, looking very kind. Zhou Hong and Min Gran didn't know who he was, so they didn't reply. Han Wenqi at the side quickly introduced, Principal Yuan, this is Zhou Hong, and this is Min Gran. You too, this is the principal of Dongju University, Yuan Hong, Principal Yuan. Hello, Principal. Zhou Hong and Min Gran obediently greeted him. They hadn't expected this man to be the principal. His demeanor indeed suited it, like an old cadre, with bright eyes, a sturdy build, and standing very straight. No need to be so polite. How do you two feel about our school? Are you used to it? If there's anything you're not satisfied with, feel free to tell me. Principal Yuan waved his hand, chuckled a few times. Even his laughter sounded very official. It's good, everything is good. Thank you, Principal, for taking care of us. Zhou Hong quickly responded with a faint smile. How could he dare to raise any objections? He had already received enough special treatment. Besides, even if he had objections, how could he dare to mention them directly to the principal? All right, Principal Yuan, we'll be leaving now. Zhou Junyao patted Principal Yuan's shoulder. The two seemed to have a good relationship. Principal Yuan smiled and nodded, saying, Okay, come again when you have time. I'll treat you to tea. Got it. Zhou Junyao got into the driver's seat of the car. Lu Wei sat in the passenger seat and gestured for the two to get in. Let's go. Okay. Zhou Hong and Min Gran sat in the back seat. As the car started and left the school, Min Gran couldn't suppress her inner excitement and joy. It had just begun, but she already felt this birthday was fantastic. Mom, Dad, where are we going? Min Gran couldn't help but ask, because she was just too happy. Lu Wei looked back at her, a faint smile on her lips, and said, We're going to that amusement park you've always wanted to visit. Zhou Hong told us. Min Gran turned to look at Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong pursed his lips, shrugged, and said, I saw you saved it. I thought you'd really want to go. Min Gran instantly felt an overwhelming sense of happiness. She did indeed really want to go, but it was just a thought. She had never mentioned it. Unexpectedly, Zhou Hong had secretly discovered it and actually made it happen. This feeling of being completely cared for was intoxicating. There was no need to speak up. Someone just knew how to make you happy. All right. Just then, Min Gran suddenly thought of something, sat up straight, and looked at Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei in front. Damn, Mom. Can I go to a place first? It's a bit of a detour, she asked somewhat embarrassedly. To be honest, she shouldn't have asked. It was already not easy for two such busy people to make time to celebrate her birthday. She should cherish it. But this place, she had to go today. Lu Wei looked back at her, saw her determined gaze, and couldn't help but show a gratified smile. Okay, of course you can. An hour later, the car arrived at the foot of a hill. The other three followed Min Gran up the mountain. Zhou Hong was carrying quite a few things in his hands. Then they saw Min Gran, in her beautiful dress, unconcernedly clearing the weeds in front of a grave. Seeing this, Zhou Hong immediately put down his things and went forward to help. Zhou Junyao whispered in Lu Wei's ear, Is this her parents? Yes, and this isn't even her biological father. She treats him like her own father. This child knows gratitude, is filial. Did you hear what she said before she came? Her birthday is her mother's day of suffering, so she must come to see her mother today. Lu Wei stood behind, liking Min Gran more and more as she watched. Having such a child was also a blessing for parents. Zhou Junyao looked at the surroundings and said, Since she doesn't want her parents to move to a better place, then let's have someone renovate this place later. It's just a small hilltop. Let's buy it. Yes, let's find a professional to check the feng shui first when we get back. Random renovation might break the feng shui and disturb the peace. Zhou Hong brought over the things he bought. Offerings and such were all laid out. After the memorial service ended, the two walked back. Danom, thank you for agreeing to my request and bringing me here. Yin Mingran expressed her gratitude to Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei. She had to come here, and their accommodation made her very happy. The two just smiled. Then Zhou Junyao came to Zhou Hong, patted his shoulder, and said, "Learn well from her." Zhou Hong looked confused, watching Zhou Junyao turn and leave, very puzzled. How did this involve him again? After getting back into the car, they put away their heavy mood and prepared to have fun. It was almost noon, but Yin Mingran's enthusiasm hadn't diminished at all. She still felt very excited and happy. After about another half hour, the car arrived at its destination, and the four bought tickets and went in. As soon as they entered, they saw a huge sculpture. Many people were taking pictures there. It was clearly a photo spot. Yin Mingran pulled Zhou Heng's hand, pointed there, and said somewhat excitedly, "Hubby, hubby." Her saved list included this photo spot. Many couples took pictures here, and it looked especially good. Okay, let's go take pictures. Mom, you help us too take them. All right, you guys go. Lu Wei readily agreed, took out her phone to take pictures for them. Zhou Hong and the others stood over. He seemed rather stiff because he rarely took pictures. When they went out to play before, it was always him taking pictures of Yin Mingran. He himself almost never took any because he didn't know how. Standing there, not knowing what pose to strike, he looked very stiff. Today was Yin Mingran's birthday, after all, so he listened to her to fulfill her wish. Yin Mingran, on the other hand, was much more natural. She tightly held Zhou Heng's arm, leaned on his shoulder, a sweet smile on her face, her eyes slightly squinted as if they were smiling too. Lu Wei took several pictures of the two. Yin Mingran looked at the photos, smiling happily. These would all be her precious memories. Let's go play that one first. Yin Mingran pointed to a roller coaster not far away. This roller coaster was also very famous and often seen online. Come on, Dad, Mom. Yin Mingran pulled Zhou Hong and trotted over, turning back to call Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei. Hey, come here. Lu Wei turned to look at Zhou Junyao and asked, "Hubby, can you play? Is your blood pressure okay?" Zhou Junyao snorted lightly, stretched his neck, and said, "What's there to be afraid of? Accompany my daughter for her birthday. What's riding a roller coaster? Let's go." The four of them boarded the roller coaster together, Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran sitting together, Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei sitting together. "Hubby, are you scared?" Yin Mingran looked at Zhou Hong beside her and asked with a smile. "Of course I'm not scared." Zhou Hong replied with a smile. He certainly wasn't afraid of roller coasters or anything like that. It wouldn't fall. There was nothing to be afraid of. "Actually, I'm a little scared." Yin Mingran reached out, placed her hand on Zhou Heng's arm, and said softly, "It's okay. Don't be afraid. Rest assured." Zhou Hong squeezed Yin Mingran's hand tightly, their fingers intertwined, instantly giving her a full sense of security, and she was no longer afraid. Behind them were Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei. Lu Wei showed no reaction, very calm, seemingly not afraid at all. Zhou Junyao, however, was looking left and right, muttering, "Is this safe? Are there any safety hazards?" Lu Wei rolled her eyes at him and said, "Oh, what are you afraid of? Don't you have insurance? If something happens to you, the insurance company will cry. Can't you wish me well?" Zhou Junyao glared back and said irritably. The roller coaster slowly started, initially slow, gradually climbing to the highest point, then at the drop, it suddenly stopped. Yin Mingran closed her eyes, tightly holding Zhou Heng's hand, looking extremely nervous. Swoosh! The next second, the roller coaster plunged down violently. The intense feeling of weightlessness and excitement made most people on the ride scream. "Aha!" Tang Ji's words hit Zhou Hong like a ton of bricks. His eyes widened, and he slammed his hand on the table. "I've got it." This was the first time Zhou Junyao felt it was a good thing his son was big. Behind Zhou Hong, the wind was blocked by Zhou Hong. When the roller coaster slowly came to a stop and they got off, Yin Mingran looked like she had a lot of fun, even though she had barely opened her eyes during the ride, because she was really a bit scared. "Not bad, pretty okay, I guess." After Zhou Junyao got off, he was muttering to himself, hands on his hips, putting his glasses back on. Lu Wei glanced at him and whispered, "Stop pretending. Hubby, I saw your legs shaking just now." "That was a muscle spasm. Got cold and cramped, can't help it." At this moment, Yin Mingran pointed to a large pendulum ride nearby and shouted, "Dad, Mom, let's go play that, okay?" "Coming, baby." Lu Wei happily agreed, while Zhou Junyao stood there, his expression a bit awkward. "Ahem, everyone must be a bit hungry, right? You guys go play first, I'll go buy you something to eat." After saying that, Zhou Junyao slipped away. Lu Wei smiled helplessly, looking at Zhou Junyao's retreating figure, and muttered, "Tisk, if you're afraid your blood pressure will rise, just say so. Really, still trying to act tough in front of the kids. After that, it became the three of them playing together, having a great time. Zhou Junyao only joined in on some of the safer attractions, like the carousel. After all, he often stayed up late and didn't rest well. If he played those highly stimulating rides, he was really afraid his body wouldn't be able to take it. As evening approached, the four prepared to leave. Mingran's smile hadn't disappeared. She was extremely happy today, joy and happiness constantly surrounding her. She held Zhou Heng's hand, walking behind. In front, Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei were also holding hands, strolling slowly. Hubby, mom and dad's relationship is really good, and they don't seem like big bosses at all, just like ordinary parents. Yeah, to them, they prefer playing the role of parents rather than some big boss, right? Otherwise, how could they have hidden it from me for so long? I never suspected a thing. Zhou Hong chuckled. In his memory, his parents had a very good relationship, almost never argued, and their family was very harmonious. Zhou Hong turned to look at Mingran and asked, "Were you happy today?" Mingran nodded emphatically and replied, "I'm happy. This is my best birthday. Hubby, I love you. Then shouldn't I get a reward?" Zhou Hong grinned, leaned his face over, pointed to his cheek, signaling for Mingran to give him a kiss. Mingran, however, reached out, turned Zhou Heng's face, and then kissed him directly on the lips. "This is my reward, actually." The four of them got into the car. Lu Wei looked back at Mingran and said, "All right, we'll send you two back now. We'll have dinner with you another day." "Huh? Mom, aren't you two having dinner with us?" Mingran was stunned for a moment. She had thought they would go for dinner together after leaving. Why were they going back already? But Mingran quickly understood. After all, they were so busy, it was already great that they could spend the whole day playing with her. Lu Wei smiled slightly and said, "Don't you have any good friends? They're all waiting for you." Mingran's mouth fell open. She turned to look at Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong shook the phone in his hand and said, "They're all waiting for us to go back." He had already contacted the others and arranged to have dinner together in the evening to celebrate Mingran's birthday. Mingran hadn't forgotten her friends, but since her parents-in-law were there, she hadn't mentioned it. But Zhou Hong had arranged everything. She could play happily with her family during the day and have dinner with her good friends at night. This birthday was something she had only dreamed of, and now Zhou Hong had made it all come true. Mingran leaned on Zhou Heng's shoulder. At this moment, she had endless things to say, but it seemed like nothing needed to be said. Happiness at this moment was completely tangible. She looked at the photos taken today on her phone, each one telling a story of happiness. She was about to pick a few photos to post on her moments, found a few of her and Zhou Hong, then a few of herself to make a 9-square grid. Just then, she saw a group photo of the four of them. She and Zhou Hong were standing in front, while Zhou Junyao and Lu Wei were standing behind, a complete family photo, looking like a very happy family. Mingran squinted her eyes, smiling faintly, staring at this photo. Suddenly, it was as if she had a hallucination. She seemed to see, behind them, the figures of her own parents, also standing there, smiling at them in front. She was stunned for a moment, blinked, and the hallucination disappeared, but it had been so real, as if it were true. Mingran let out a breath, the corners of her eyes slightly upturned, her gaze sparkling. Then, she placed this photo in the very center. Being cared for, protected, needed, affirmed, being loved. Zhou Hong and Mingran arrived at a hotel. Guided by a waiter, they reached the door of their reserved private room. Zhou Hong stood behind as Mingran slowly pushed open the door. "Wow!" She couldn't help but exclaim. The inside of the private room had been exquisitely decorated, the entire room transformed into her favorite color scheme. Only Zhou Hong knew this. She hadn't expected him to remember it. Then there were decorative balloons, flowers, and so on, everything one could wish for, completely transformed into a birthday party room. "The birthday girl is here. Happy birthday." Inside the private room, all her friends were seated. Tang Ji, Yuling Xue, Shen Lini, Jingyu, and Bai Tsang had also been invited. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao couldn't make it as they were too far away. They had just spoken to Mingran on the phone in the car, expressing their regrets and arranging to meet up next time. Mingran covered her mouth, deeply moved, and exclaimed, "Thank you all." Zhou Hong took Mingran's hand and led her to sit down at the table. Then, everyone present took out their prepared gifts, big and small. Only Tang Ji's was the largest. The moment she picked it up from the floor, Mingran was startled. Yuling Xue's gift was a beautiful necklace with sparkling diamonds, looking rather expensive. I didn't know what gift to prepare. I originally wanted to make a gift for you myself, but I'm too clumsy. I didn't succeed. Next time, I'll definitely prepare well. Don't say that. Your gift to me is good. I like it very much. Thank you. I've already thought about your birthday gift. In Gran looked at the necklace before her, her eyes full of fondness. Gifts weren't distinguished by high or low value. Whether bought expensively or made with care, as long as it was a gift, it had special value. Besides, these sparkling diamonds, such a beautiful necklace. How could she not like it? Jingyu handed her gift to Gran. It was a small box. After Gran opened it, inside was a pair of rings, couple rings. Wow, a gift for both of you. Wishing you a happy birthday, and also hoping you two will last forever and always be happy. Thank you. Gran took out the rings, lifted Zhou Heng's hand, and put one on his middle finger. She also put on her ring. Then, she took out her phone, took a picture of their hands, looked up at Jingyu, and said, although we haven't known each other for long, I can feel that you're a good friend. Let's get along well in the future and help each other. If you have any problems, feel free to ask. I'll help. Gran extended her hand, smiled slightly at Jingyu. Jingyu also extended her hand, shook hers, and replied, Mei-chung. Okay. Although she didn't pay too much attention to Ran's words, as it was just a standard polite remark, and taking it too seriously would be a mistake, everyone else knew very well the weight of Ran's words. Next was Shunlini's turn. Her gift wasn't large either. Ran, happy birthday. Thank you, sister. Gran hugged Shunlini, opened the gift, and found a bookmark inside. But this bookmark was not ordinary. It featured two small cartoon figures, a boy and a girl, clearly recognizable as Zhou Hong and Gran. They were holding hands tightly, close together, looking very loving and incredibly cute. Oh, even Zhou Hong exclaimed at this gift, his eyes wide, completely unexpected. These little figures were so lifelike, with such high resemblance. The others also craned their necks to look, exclaiming in admiration. Gran picked up the bookmark, held it up to examine it closely, and asked in surprise, Sister, did you draw this yourself? Shunlini replied softly, Mei-chung. I drew it, then had it made. No wonder. Gran could tell at a glance that Shunlini had drawn herself. If it had been generated by some software, it couldn't possibly be so lifelike. Every detail was perfectly replicated. Only a hand-drawn piece could achieve such an effect. Shunlini had planned to give this gift for a long time. Ever since her relationship with Gran got better, she had been paying attention to Ran's birthday. She had been drawing in her spare time. Originally, she thought of drawing Gran alone for her birthday. But after much thought, she felt it was better to draw two people. After finishing the drawing, she kept revising it over and over, finally settling on this version she was most satisfied with. She was probably the biggest shipper of Zhou Hong and Gran among these people. She was practically the head of their CP fan club. I love it so much, sister. Thank you. Gran excitedly hugged Shunlini again. Shunlini pursed her lips, a slight smile playing on them. She was relieved that Gran liked it. Ahem, President Een. Oh no, Sister Ran, happy birthday. This is my gift to you. Although it's not very valuable, it's a token of my sincerity. Baicong opened his gift, a card dark gold, looking very high-end. This is... Gran took out the card, looked at it, not knowing what it was for. It only had a gold-plated VIP on it. MHM. My family has many businesses in Dongju, including hotels, shopping malls, bathhouses, and so on. Anything with Beijing Platinum in its name belongs to my family. Take this card, and all your expenses there will be free. Upon hearing this, everyone present, except Yu Lingxue, was quite shocked, especially as Baicong casually listed those industries. Those who didn't know might have thought he was talking about a few small convenience stores. Tang Ji lowered her voice and asked, Is his family that rich? Yu Lingxue nodded and said, MHM, as far as I know, President Bai's net worth is very high. Besides being a vice president at Juan, he also has a seat on the board of directors, holds a significant amount of Juan shares, and has many businesses under his name. Then if his family is so rich, why is he still competing? Why not just let him take over one of their businesses in the future? Because once Baicong is inside Juan, it's easier for President Bai to handle things. The higher Baicong climbs, the greater the advantage for the father and son. Essentially, it's also hoped that he'll work hard to climb up, rather than just being a trust fund kid. Unfortunately, the son is foolish and also homo,